Hey everyone, hey Dark. How's it going? Happy Monday. We have a lot of organizational things to do. Clean up this list a bit. But we're going to start with the today command, which I don't even know. What are we doing today? I don't think I've fully decided yet. Yeah, I haven't decided. I'm not sure. I guess we'll just write this. Adam is just going to keep laying bricks for. Is there a brick command? Yeah. Is there bricks? Yes, there is. For Skeleseller. At the time of writing this, he doesn't know exactly what's on the docket for today. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Early indeed. Yeah, it's 8:22 for me. Normally I start at about 8:30 and I advertise that I start at 9. I don't even know the last time I started at 9. All right, next up is tenets. That for sure we're going to do. This has taken less and less time as I do it. I think because I'm just kind of on track now. Why is this not loading? What happened? Okay, there we go. All right, tenant review. Sustainability. Definitely going fine. I've done very little extra. And I think that normal weeks are manageable. Bricklaying, also going great. We're still just doing what we need to do. Breaks, they're going okay. Yeah, I think we probably should take more. Yeah, anything that I'm seeing that's like glaringly wrong with the process here, I don't think so. I think I've been on top of things. Oh yeah, I think the only thing that needs to be improved is the marketing aspect of the game. And I finally have a plan for that. And I shared this a little bit, but I want to make some videos on game design problems I encountered and how I fixed them. I think they'll be approachable. I think I will be able to talk about them without needing to be like, oh, here's a bunch of code I want to share. Yeah. Hey, Kevin. It's going pretty well. How are you doing? So I'll probably start the first of those videos tomorrow. Anyway, what we need to do here. So this is done. Oh yeah, another update is mentoring is back on. I made a mentoring schedule. The next session is going to be 9 days from now at 11 a.m. And I don't think it'll be a series. Or if it is a series, it's going to be like a series of maybe 2 sessions. But not 9 like we used to have. And if I see Human Puppet today, I need to ping them. Ask Human Puppet about mentoring. Not sure if they're on Discord at all. Hey, Ion, why not use Notion? So the reason why I'm not using Notion is because a long time ago, they used to charge by the block that you'd use. And back then I was on OneNote, and OneNote did not charge for storage like that. So switching to Notion then was difficult. Then Notion changed their monetization. And then it was just totally free to use however much you wanted or something, I guess. But by then I was already on OneNote. And then when I wanted to switch from OneNote, I've got a very large video on this that I did. I wanted to not lock myself into a vendor, so I switched to Markdown Notes. So that's the full story of why I'm not using Notion. And I never plan to use Notion or OneNote again for anything like super serious. So this PR is the first thing I want to do. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should clean up the list first. I'm not positive. All right, well, let's start with the PR. AM2, happy Monday. Speak of the devil. So I believe there are 4 new commits in here. This. Let's pull this. I just heard the end. Why don't you use Notion? Short story is a long time ago it was due to monetization, and now it's due to not wanting to have any vendor lock-in. So I'm using Markdown for my notes. And Notion might have a way of at least exporting to Markdown, but honestly, I just don't trust those tools very much. Like, I end up taking so many notes that It's got to be able to convert all of them. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of notes at this point. And these are in the public stuff that you guys have access to. Then there are a bunch of private notes too, and there are even more of those. Okay, so there are 4 new commits. I don't expect any of them are going to be very long to look through or at all controversial. So I think we should be able to look through this pretty quickly. In fact, I don't know, 4 commits doesn't mean, 20 files changed, especially given what we had talked about for this. What is going on here? Interesting. This must have been a slightly different bug, because this used to check if it was full or not, and not whether it could accept more items. Very interesting. So what was this function then? Clicked item display? Oh. So this is if you were holding an item and wanted to stack it onto an item display that already had an item, and you were able to stack it. This wouldn't have let us before? Huh. Let me look at the commit messages for this. I just got rid of is full entirely. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Let me look at these anyway. Wait, it says 4 commits. But how is this one there? How did any of this happen? These are from 3 days ago. Reverse order there. Oh, what? I don't think I've ever seen that it goes from top to bottom like that. Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, let's look at these. Hey, Campbell Soup. Thought about doing something like what you have, but haven't made the switch from Notion. Yeah, and I don't blame you. Switching from OneNote was one of the most painful things I've ever done when it comes to note taking. God, it was just the worst. And I'm still paying the cost of having switched like that. Although part of it is the cost of having used OneNote. Like, there were no official code blocks, so it couldn't tell where my code was in the new notes. So now that just a lot of that looks bad. Now imagine if we can increase the stack size in the endgame with the eventual timescale feature. I think we probably will eventually allow us to increase the stack size. 1 to 3 will probably be like use 1 to 3 sprites, and then 4 plus will probably be a label. So it just shows like potion, and then in the side it says like 100x or something like that. I still don't want this to ever get to be too large. Like, I think if this is a 3-digit number, then there's a problem. I think what we should cap this at is probably 99, if we even let it happen this way. I'm still not convinced, but we'll have to see how the game plays out. Oh, I didn't even see this. I should have seen this. Yeah. I don't tend to look at scenes super closely, but I did find the corresponding code for that. Wait, no. This was already... No. This was already done. How did I even get to this? Oh, I see. Never mind. Okay, I've confused myself. Let's turn around and just open these 4 things and not anything extra. Property was not needed since we can use the town's max item quantity. We could actually have used the property anyway, and yeah, checked it. I guess that's kind of what was happening, but max quantity here was only comparing against the total ever max quantity, which actually would have been a bug. I'm pretty sure, because I don't think that used to get updated. Max quantity was just the number 3, right? Yeah, it was. I'm not going to go through that, but I think we've probably fixed something here. Yeah, like, yeah, anyway, doesn't really matter, I guess. So make items stack for us not occupying empty displays unnecessarily. Sounds good. Tries to fill in already occupied item displays, adding items to stacks. So will not occupy empty displays with new items. Cool. Yep, sounds good. Resolve. Adam pointed out that we could calculate the quantities before creating this. Yeah, I'm glad you accepted this change. We do this beforehand. Okay. just by chance that we were checking the other max anyway? No, but those two maxes are different. The town's max can be 2. The item's max is always 3. So I think there's probably something that would have gone wrong there, but it doesn't matter because it's changed anyway, and now it's totally correct. Thought I had a signature image, but I don't. So I need. Oh, that's totally fine. Yeah, yeah. There's no rush on that. Okay. And then this is the last one here, where we now no longer clamp the quantity. Okay. All right. So now let's see. Where do I see my comments? Oh, I think I can see it in conversation actually. Hey Dabu, what's on the to-do list? I'm not totally sure. And I write the today command every day, and I'm not sure what we're going to work on today. So for now, we're going to look through PRs. And then when we're done with that, I'll probably try to pick a big item to work on, or maybe I'll organize my list and then do that. Hey, Silas. Okay, the comments should show up over here, right? Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't need to have anything here. This condition should never value to true, totally fine. Sounds about right. Oh, this is probably what led to the whole don't do is full here. Hello, hello, Monatic Vine. Happy 5 years. My goodness. Welcome back and thank you. Hope you had a good weekend. Decided to also change item create to stop clamping the quantity. I think if we ever set the wrong quantity, we should see an exception. It would signal a programmer error. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. That's good. That was done. Okay, cool. I think everything is good here. Let's merge this. No, wait, no. Let's not merge this. Let's first click review changes. The changes look good. Thanks for making them. Approve. There. Because otherwise this thing gets marked red and I don't know how to fix that, and it's just not a big deal anyway, but still, might as well just do it this way. All right, squash. Hey, Oakleys. It's 5 years around the max it could be. When did I become a partner? Because back then there was no concept of affiliates. I don't remember when it was. But yeah, 5 years is probably close. Actually, it wouldn't really matter when I became a partner. It would matter when I also turned off subscriptions. Because I think I became a partner in like 2016 or 2017. But then in 2020, I disabled subscriptions because I didn't want people spending money if I wasn't going to be streaming. And then I turned them back on in 2023. Actually, I didn't even turn them back on. Twitch turned them back on. They changed everyone's monetization contracts, and then they just automatically enabled them for me. But nobody knew. So nobody subbed. How did Next Fest treat you? I did not participate. So we did Idler Fest, and that went pretty well. And then for Next Fest, we decided to hold off until, what is it, June? Yeah. I was talking to Foolbox, who just released their game Block Shop, and he said, look, you really should wait until the last Next Fest you could possibly do. And the biggest thing that I looked back at was just the commit history. And within, I don't know, 2 weeks, we'd added a music track, we added a bunch of quality of life features, we changed some visuals on some things or whatever. There's a whole bunch of changes that were here where I thought these weren't like change dust particles on a random entity or something. It was like big things that were being done. So I thought, man, imagine another 4 months of that. That's why we held off. I think it was a good idea. Even though it's a demo, I think people expect a lot. Yeah. And I hadn't really looked at Next Fest myself. So on Wednesday of last week, some friends and I play games on Wednesday. Poetry, thanks for the resub. Wednesday is game night. And knowing that Next Fest was going on, I looked through every multiplayer game that I could find. Because if you... Is Next Fest done? No, I think it ends in an hour and a half. Yeah, so if we go to Steam... And yeah, Next Fest. Yeah, it's going to end very soon. This link isn't working for me. Oh, it's just slow. I wonder if this is a me thing or a Steam thing. Let's try a new tab. Huh. Is this Is this loading for other people? This seems strange. Hey, Cube Miser. Loads for you. Huh. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Anyway, there's a way to, yeah, by feature, I think. Yeah, you click multiplayer. So I went through every single page of these, I think. And I opened up all the ones that looked interesting. So maybe I would open up like 3 on this page and then 0 on the next page or something. And of all of those games, one looked interesting to me. And I ended up playing that with some friends and it was pretty good. I don't even remember what it was called, unfortunately. But it was a roguelike kind of MOBA mechanics sort of game. So you have like Q, W, and E abilities and R. And it had kind of an interesting system of how skills worked. But it was pretty polished. I'd say it was pretty good. So yeah, I just never had experienced Next Fest myself, really. Also, the nice thing is, I just shared this in the Skeleseller Discord, but I was searching Skeleseller yesterday, and I found this person's video. So this person's got like 8,000 YouTube subs, and they made a video about Skeleseller, and it was enjoyable. They played well. It was fun to watch, and it's already almost a 1,000 views. And I wonder if this person found the game because of Next Fest, even though the game's not in Next Fest. So yeah, I'm not positive, but at least it's nice to still be getting a bump from that stuff. Shape of Dreams, that was it. Yes. Yeah, that was a pretty good game. I think Next Fest is super cool. I mean, it helps creators, it helps consumers. It's just a really good idea. Oh, another thing, by the way, that I wanted to mention is in going through these games. Okay, this page isn't loading. Whatever. In going through those games, you do see some where it's like, okay, this is rough. It's rough around the edges. And when it's amongst all of these pretty well polished games, it stands out even more as being rough around the edges. Now, I've seen enough people play Skeleseller now where it does seem like they're having fun and they want more content. So I'm not as concerned, but like I said, 3 more months of stuff, I think it's going to help. Nothing really caught my eye. Yeah, I only looked at the multiplayer games. I didn't look at any of the single player games. But I imagine that if I went through pages and pages of the single player stuff, I'd probably find 1 or 2 games that are worth trying. The problem with the multiplayer stuff is there were a couple of other games that looked kind of interesting, but I would have needed my friends to agree to play those too. And yeah, we just settled on Shape of Dreams, I guess. All right, so this has been merged. This closes this issue. We are now done with this. Let's go look at other PRs. Update environment for fishing pond. Okay, so GHPR checkout 815. That is not an 8. I probably need to clean my keyboard. And I'm going to just reload the project so we don't run into any issues here. Now, as far as the visual review goes, this should be very easy to do. Then I'll need to look through any code that changed, but I think it's mostly going to be the environment scenes, which is pretty much impossible to look through. All right, so I think this is not good. We have like a hard seam there. But other than that, everything looks like it meshes well together. Yeah, so I'll just take a picture of this. That's okay. It's not a big deal. And if you're here, then I don't even need to do this, I guess. Hard seam here. Okay. And I haven't read through anything else yet. I'm still going to look through that. All right, so then we build the fishing pond. And it made a trail down here, which is pretty nice. And this looks pretty good. Yeah. Now, technically that seam still exists, but it's not a problem here anymore. And yeah, we got our fishing perks. Yeah, nice. Oh, you know what we should do? Put this in quick changes. I only just thought of this now. The item stacking perk should probably be modulated like we do for the other ones. Yeah. Okay, so let's read through some of this stuff. Remove trees, build the empty area with trees and plants, clear the ground, change the sign position by not aligning the sign to the grid. The cleared ground will be offset for no real reason. Had to move the bridge to another node. Reason for that is while clearing the ground, script calculates the area based on direct tile map layer children. We want the bridge to expand this area. Okay. Yeah, we should maybe at some point just change our clear ground function for this reason. Let's try some other things here. Let's save and load. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. We fade in the path every time you load the game now. Yeah, we gotta stop that too. The path is faded in every... Wait a second, none of that should even be happening though. Why is that happening? Oh, because of create... Create is in the load path. Okay, I see. I might fix that myself then. Because I think what we should probably do... This technically happens for the warehouse as well then, right? If I click this and save and load, they fade in? Yeah. Yeah. Same with the warehouse. I should just fix this stuff. It's an easy enough fix. Oh, hey, everybody. Bouncy Boy Atomic Man saying, GL on the runs, thanks. Yeah, I'm a Pathfinder expert. I'm a bard, and every time I pluck one note on my violin, all the enemies in a 10-mile radius die. It's pretty good, but I'm aiming for a 15-mile radius. Have you actually started those runs, by the way, Bouncy Boy? And how are we doing today? Doing pretty well so far. We have just been looking through PRs already. I pushed the seam fix, so the fade is probably a good call to change the clearing function. That's not coming from the clearing function. That's coming from the building function. But yeah, just burst into tears. Yeah, it's a good thing you weren't any closer. Your brain probably would have exploded. I'm gonna just comment this, but I know it was already fixed. Let's go pull in the new change. So sync. Starting tomorrow night if we can find a fourth. Is there a DM in Pathfinder? Because I mentioned my wife and I were playing D&D for a little while, and like I said, we like strongly disliked it, or at least I strongly disliked it. I think my wife just regular disliked it. And then she found Gloomhaven, and she loves that game, and Frosthaven, and Gloomhaven and Frosthaven are pretty much like D&D with no role playing. So if you like the combat, if you like the items or the exploration or whatever, it's like it has all that, but there's just no role playing. I assume Pathfinder. Yeah. Okay. Expected a semicolon. Oh, is this me? Did I actually write something? I apparently did. I think that was a mistake. Super crunchy if you like optimizing. Yeah, you know, it's hard to say if you try one instance of anything. Like if I tried knitting for the first time and I didn't like it, is it because I don't like knitting or because what the yarn I was using was bad or whoever's teaching me was not the best teacher or something? So it's not like we played one D&D session. We played a series of sessions, but it could have been that scenario, that group, my character, whatever, my expectations of the game. And it's possible that if I went back to it, something would change there and it'd feel different. Okay, nice. That looks good. And then when we build this, it's still, yeah, nice. Ironsworn I haven't heard of, but yeah, Gloomhaven I tried once or twice. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, the game is the DM. Yeah. IMO has too much setup and as a high difficulty lover, I found it frustrating to run out of cards and not lose because of my lack of strategy. The too much setup part is nuts for that game. like if you look up organizer boxes, I don't know, something like this. Okay, these sorts of things. My friend who had this game, maybe not this exact style, but had like a million of these for the game. And he was so into it that he was totally happy to set it up every time. But yeah, that's pretty intense for normal people. You gotta have a good DM. I think you also need to have a good party though. I mean, imagine if your DM is fantastic and it's like playing a video game almost, and then your friend is like, I throw my bow at the enemy and bonk them on the head. Like, it would just take you out of it anyway. So I think everything needs to be good, or you need to be able to suspend your disbelief pretty thoroughly. Or you need to be able to throw bows at people. Maybe that's just the universe we live in. Why do 10 damage shooting an arrow and you can just throw the wood? I hurl a tree trunk at the enemy. Yeah, so town create fishing. Need to reload this. I just love that idea, by the way. All right, so here we have a fade in. This should only be done if we weren't loading this. I think there are only two places to call this, right? Yeah. Town.create fishing pond. Um, let's pass in true here. And then here, let's pass in false. And we'll say bool is building through sign. Or like was triggered manually. And if it was triggered manually, we'll just put this here. Hey, Dustin. Some groups are really serious and roleplay heavy. Others are more silly. As long as everyone's on the same page, it works. Yeah, yeah. And this is what I was saying about my expectations. I had no idea what to expect going into that. All I knew is that Dungeons and Dragons was an RPG. It's pretty nerdy, and it would take a little longer than like a video game. By the way, some people I think prefer that, like board games versus video games. They prefer not having everything be automatic. It purposely slows down the game a bit, and sometimes you're looking for that, or sometimes it's just fun to roll dice or something. I don't particularly care about any of that stuff. I like digitizing everything. Hey, Alex, want to get into web dev? Any tips? Get back to web dev? Any tips? I'd say just like if you're saying get back to, it means you already had some experience. So I'd say like look at what's new since you left. So for example, if you left it 20 years ago, I'd probably look into some of the front end frameworks, like React or Vue or Angular or whatever is popular. I don't even know anymore. I'm not really in the web dev world anymore. I'd probably also maybe look at whatever languages people are using. So TypeScript is now pretty popular, but also people probably just transpile to JavaScript from other languages, or I guess compile to other languages. And then just try things out. Left 1 year ago, yeah, then you're probably not missing too much. So I just look at like what's new in the last year. Someone might have written a blog post or something, and then go see are any of those technologies worth looking into or learning. Balsa wood trays to store the game. Wow. Yeah. In order to keep things going, I usually play the dumb let's just go character. Oh yeah, that was the big problem that we had in our group. It wasn't that we didn't have instigators, it's that we had too many people who were being like super overly cautious. All right, the same thing needs to happen here with create warehouse. So if was triggered manually, put this here, put a bool was triggered manually, and then call this stuff. Which is better, by the way, please do try to be mindful of the segmenting messages. Which is better to freelance, web dev or game dev? Almost certainly web dev. Like almost certainly. More people have web dev needs and businesses have web dev needs, but businesses do not have game dev needs. Unless they're a game dev business, in which case they'll just hire people or they'll contract people themselves probably. All right, so this is loading, so it was not triggered manually. And then the other one is the sign, which is triggered manually. Hey, Karada. Happy coding, thanks. All right, so now let's go test this out. Like I said, this was technically already a problem, but it wasn't obvious to me. There's no argument given that corresponds to this. Create warehouse. What, there are 3 calls? What's this one? Grant most things. Oh, wow, look at that. It's not really created manually, but I'll still fade it in. I guess let's, you know what, let's change this. Instead of was triggered manually, let's just change all of these to should fade in. Because that's really all it's controlling. Let's try that out. Get him. I wasn't sure if it was a joke or a typo because P is pretty close to enter on most people's keyboards. Hold on a second. Something very bizarre happened there, but it was very fast. Let me try that again. Uh-oh, this doesn't seem good. Script manager bridge. What happened here? What's the exception? Scene path. Portal.tsdn. What's the problem here? Handle is not initialized. I've seen that happen every once in a while, and I'm not totally sure why that happens. But anyway, I wanted to take a look at this. That looked fine. I'm going to try one more time. I think it's good. Okay, what about the warehouse? Yeah, so save this, load this. Yeah, all right. Okay, cool. Only fade in buildings when manually building. All right, so this way, when loading from a file, the buildings will appear immediately. Okay. All right, so let me see what else is written here. Because, yeah, I think this looks good. Yeah, we have a path to the extractor. I didn't take a close look at this, but I think we're fine there too. And does it look good ahead of time? Yeah, I don't think it's obvious that there would be a path here eventually. Readjust the environment in the place where the new path would be. Added the path to the fishing pond scene. Place the sand tiles at the end manually. Below is the change spot. I adjusted the terrain so it doesn't show any sprite artifacts after the path is placed. Okay, yeah, I think this looks good. All right, let's look through the change files. Like I said, one of these is going to be too dense for us to look through, which is environment. This should be fine. Yeah, we have a path tile map layer. Yep, I think this is okay. Fish node is moved. As long as the fish node is such that it doesn't have fish on top of the bridge, I think we're fine. So what happens there? Max fish. No, it does show on top of the bridge. Yeah, I got to change the order of that. Okay, that's fine. Fishing pond. We'll just move the bridge. What is going on? Oh, I'm accidentally. Yeah, my bad. There we go. Yeah, so now the fish node is above the bridge, which means the fish will render underneath the bridge. Let's go test that. Grab most things so I have enough money to afford this. Click, click, click. All right, now swim under the bridge, fish. Yep, okay, I think it'll look good. Yeah, they're going under that. Now, technically, they shouldn't be able to go underneath this thing, but I'm not going to do anything about that. All right, position of the sign changed and clear ground for building. Yep, looks good. Okie dokie. And fishing pond had hard-coded get size, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. It's a floating post that doesn't go all the way into the water. Yeah, but anyway, I still think it's like very slightly breaking of the illusion that we have here, but I don't think anyone's going to care. Okay, so fixed order of fish node. Fish were rendering on top of the bridge. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so sync this, and then let's go plug this in. Echoing what I said in my original comment. This looks great. I did say that, right? I think I said it on Discord. All right, then let's just delete this. Comment and squash. Okay, and then there's one more PR, and it's animating this gauge. Add a quick gauge sprite sheet to the extractor, indicating that it's currently running. Once you turn it on, the indicator starts moving, which is just making the animation loop. It's toggled by lever. First play call on the animation inside is on as required, because I wanted the animation to transition smoothly, avoiding play animating, then play default. When off, which makes the indicator immediately jump to the beginning, which does not look good. By toggling just the looping on the sprite, make it run the whole animation from start to end without any jumping. Also, instead of calling play inside the lever, could just add a new script to the gauge and play the animation already, but I don't think it's going to change anything. also known as the extractors in temp. So this is a temporary graphic. It might still be worth merging this for now, but probably we're going to end up deleting all of this stuff at some point. I'm going to reload this too. All right, so there's the extractor. There is now a gauge, and the gauge, if we just play this, what I was originally thinking is that we might want the gauge to represent how much you have toward your next fish egg, because there's an internal value, and we could use this to render like a 0 to 100% on here. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Well, let's run it at least. Let's see the work. So we build the fishing pond, and then while this is on, I guess that doesn't matter. It's when we fed it a potion. Wait, when does this animate? When is this called? It should be when you turn the lever. Something's wrong. I wonder if I didn't rebuild or something here. Let's put a breakpoint there. Yeah, it's not going to hit. What's going on? Also, it thinks I changed this, but worked on my machine. I might not have rebuilt. I'm not actually positive what happened there. Okay, let's close out of this stuff. One of the things I do not like about Godot, and maybe this is not actually a Godot problem, but when I launch a game, it steals the focus twice. So once when it's loading and then once when it's done loading. So I try switching back to here to like look at my code again, and then it takes the focus again. So that was hard to close the one I wanted to close there. Okay, yeah, now it's working. So I must not have rebuilt. Oh wait, no, here's the problem. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. So the gauge is not being fetched correctly, which to me would imply that I'd need to just restart this. How do we try fetching the gauge? Gauge equals, oh, it's set through the scene itself. Wait, it should be set through the scene. It's exported inside of, oh, inside of lever. So the lever has this set to be the gauge, and it's just not assigned for some reason. Maybe, well, I'm not sure why that happened. Did I change anything? I'm not sure what happened there because I don't think I did. Yeah, the only change is this frame progress thing, although maybe something else had gotten deleted somehow. All right, so now this we can ignore. I I don't I don't know how I feel about this. For one, like I said, this is not the final graphic. So whatever we eventually have, I think there are a few states we need to consider. One is the lever being on or off. I was thinking we just have a light on the machine that turns on or off. And then two is the extractor has like partial potion accumulation. And for that, there could be a gauge, but the gauge would be functional and not just an animation or like a meter or something on it. Yeah, I think I'm going to close this, but I do appreciate the effort. I'm going to close this for a few reasons. One, the extractor graphic is temporary, so it will all get deleted eventually anyway. And the new extractor probably needs a light to indicate that the lever is on or off, and probably needs a gauge to indicate how close to the next fish egg you are. Yeah, okay. All right, so PR's done. Clean up this list a bit. Yeah, I definitely want to do this. This stuff I keep bumping to the next day, but then I never actually have the time to look into it. Yesterday, I got a little bit sidetracked by something. I uploaded my new notes. Where's the newest one that I had? Something about shaders in Godot. Yeah, there it is. So like this stuff that I took on stream is now public, and if anyone wants to look at that, it's here. But before I uploaded these notes, I upgraded the tech stack that this is using, and it ran into an issue, and then I spent like an hour fixing a bunch of my notes. And yeah, that was time that was just I could have spent doing something else. I'm not mad about it or anything. It's just these are the kinds of things where you sort of budget how your day is going to go. Like, oh, I'll tackle that, and then I'll go do laundry, and then I'll do whatever else, and then one of those things takes so long that now, okay, your laundry's not done, and it's like that still needs to get done at some point. I just I don't know. I think I'm just gonna bump this to handle this on Tuesday. Handle these old notes. Because I don't want to do this right now. Yeah. Ready to add Chinese to the game? Ready to add every language of the game. I'm going to put Klingon in. All right, quick tasks. Item stacking perks should probably be modulated like we do for the other ones. I think it's the only to-do item we have in the code right now. Yeah, this. We set the icon color. This is fishing perks. Because none of the fishing perks have this. All right, so in town perks, we need to do this here. How does this work over here? We get ability ID to button dot values. Okay, so we do something like this. Ability ID. What's it called? Where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong branch. Okay, let's back out of this. Discard and go back to the main branch. Please commit your changes. I shouldn't have any changes. There we go. Let's reload this. I don't ever want to run into those issues where I'm like, why is this happening? And it turns out I didn't reload the project. Okay. Let's go find that again. So we want this inside of town perks. Probably with the to-do thing as well. And then this is going to be... Yep, there we go. We need color. And we need the item stacking thing. Yeah, and then it shouldn't actually be this one. This should be the Godot one. There. All right, let's run that. All I just did is make it so that when you get the town hall, that one town perk is roughly the same color as the other ones. It's not the same style, but it's not bright white now. I think we should keep this for now. Yeah. Yep, I think this is good. I don't want to do items around this though. So maybe what we should do is we have UI constants. Maybe we should make one like temporary icon color. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I think, can we make colors constant? I don't think so. I think we have to make the read-only color. Let's say temporary temporary icon modulate. Yeah. Color dot from HTML. It's this. This is a Godot color. Then we use this inside of here. UI constants. And the same thing over here. Then delete that. Now, something I wonder about is, will this be obvious if we've accidentally applied this to the wrong perk? And I'll just write a summary here. For any icons that we pull from gameicons.net, they're going to be fully white. So we modulate them to this color to approximate the hand-drawn, or not the hand-drawn, but like the Skeleseller specific icons, so that they don't look so jarring. Oh, whoops, delete that. All right, my question is answered by that code. So town perks is probably gonna look a little funky now. Yes, very funky. Okay, good. As long as it's clear that we've applied this to the wrong thing, then it's gonna be clear that we need to change this. So I'm not gonna leave it to do item in the code. This means that we need new icons for 4 of these abilities. Where's the, there it is. Oh, I wonder if we should put smoke over the path here too. Probably, yeah. I think we want to do that. Put smoke over the path when building the fishing pond. I think it looks a little weird to just see it fade in. Also, it's dead simple to do, so I'll make that change pretty soon. What was I just saying though? Nope. What am I doing? Wait, what? Why can't I click this? Hold on a second. Something's wrong there. But it is complaining about this, that it can't load spell crystal. Nothing should even be referring to spell crystal. What is this doing here? What? I deleted that. What is this, zombie code? Get rid of spell crystals. What is this commit? It's line 9 of Enchanter Den. So let's just view the whole file. Line 9. Oh my god, it still exists. Okay, well, my bad. I thought I deleted it. Apparently I did not. But did that fix the problem we're having here where you can't click the NPC? Yeah, whoops. Just a little whoopsie daisy going on in the code. Wait a sec, did this sign just fade in? Oh, it does. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I still can't click this. But it shouldn't be erroring anymore. Okay, let's check in some of this stuff then. So this is here. Remove last reference to spell crystal. Yeah, it shouldn't have been needed. And then the next thing is to get the NPC to work. So let's go put some breakpoints in there and figure out why it's not working. You have on click right here. Is that working? Yes. And it has standby. Standby transition into greeting. So it is trying to do that. Oh, I wonder if every NPC is broken and there's some other problem here. Oh, that's unusual. That whole thing just worked right there. What? What? I'm very confused by what just happened. I built the fishing pond and then tried clicking the NPC. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But then I did something different and it worked. Yeah, right there. What is that? We're probably clicking something else then. Yeah, the path to the extractor I think is really, really good. This is scary. Yeah, this is scary. Huh. Is that happening with every NPC? Does it even happen with the Fisher if we reload and just try this? Because it happens consistently over here where I click, yeah, and it doesn't do anything. And then it just worked. Just clicking a bunch. What about over here? Works over here. Is it the outline? I don't know what's going on. We're registering that you clicked this thing. Let's try that out. Clicked. That way I can see if it's just not working. Yeah, I can check what node I'm clicking on. This will let me know if I am not clicking on the Fisher. So let's try that. I click them. Yeah. Huh. I'm not. Okay, cool. Then let's do what Monadic Mind is saying. So we just load this up through here and then click. And in the debugger thing, it'll tell us what we clicked. Debugger, MISC, map fill background. That shouldn't even be accepting any mouse things, mouse events. What is this? A texture rect. Yeah, so first of all, this is the problem. We need to set this to ignore. But why do we do this at all? This shouldn't be here. We should just change our fill color for the game. Yeah. Is it because of the fade? In fact, no, it's because of this node. This should be deleted. We should just get the color that we have here. This is the problem with, I would have seen this when I had reviewed the environment thing, but I didn't review the environment because I thought, oh, it's just going to be a bunch of tile map stuff that I won't be able to understand. Fill color. There's some like color you render in the background somewhere. Where is that called? Default clear color. Here it is. We just set this here. It should be black for the transitional. I don't even think it is black right now. It's some gray color. Yeah. Don't we change the clear color when we transition? Clear color. Yeah, we change it to a different color anyway. It's set in main. Yeah, but what I'm saying is it shouldn't matter if we set this to bright pink because we're going to overwrite it here. So I set this to green, it should be fine. When you click to the left of Fisher, it works after that. It all has to do with where this map fill background is, I suppose. What are the bounds of this thing? Oh, it's this entire thing. Anyway, it should be that we just don't need this node. But I'm not sure what this node was trying to accomplish anyway. I guess get rid of our fill layer that we had for all of this. And yeah, ideally we don't need that. Although this is going to end up looking bad if we ever had like a blue environment or something, I suppose. Yeah, still, this is not how we should accomplish this. Oh, man. Why is map fill grass there too? What does this do? What does this do? Oh, I see. All right, well, one way we could stop this, I guess, is just turn off the mouse listeners. Let's try that out. Still not working? What does it think we clicked? You notice fills gap in between the outer trees. Yeah, it does fill some gaps, but I thought we used to do that from a different node. I'm not even positive this is new, but this was absorbing clicks, so I assumed it was new. What is doing this now? Now it's town view container. That's weird. Town scene, town view. I don't even see town view in here. Is that its own? What? Where's town view coming from? Oh, maybe it's one scene higher than this? Oh, right, because town is called town scene, and town scene is called town. I have always wanted to change that. Okay, so it's this container that's getting hit. This is still confusing, though. Hmm. Yeah, still confusing. 4.4 GA just dropped. General availability. I want to find, here we go. Blog. Why is everything taking so long to load? This has to be a problem on my end. Well, maybe in this case it doesn't have to be, but it probably is. I'd sure love to read their blog. All right, well, we got to write this down here. So can't click the Fisher. This is absorbing clicks. I think the site is getting hammered. Let me in. Let me read the article. They just launched the whatever version was just before this, like RC4 or something like that. So I expect this has very, very little in the way of improvements from the last change. Probably nothing that's really going to affect us, but they were only allowing in regression fixes. Plenty of quality of life improvements hidden within this release, faster load speeds, reduced stutter, streamlined processes. I think this is comparing though to 4.3. Yeah. Type dictionaries. Dude, I'm not using GDScript. I like that they put a lot of work into this blog post too. It's pretty nice. Huh. New expression evaluator. Yeah, a lot of these are going to be such great changes for people. And I've looked through every little blog post so far to see which benefits we get. And I think the benefit for us at this point, given that we're already on 4.4 beta 3 or whatever, is going to be minimal, but still pretty nice. TJ, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Happy quarter of a year. So hyped for type dictionaries. Yeah. I wonder how long is it going to take you to switch all of your dictionaries to type dictionaries? Wow, this is a really nice animation. What's this? You can now load WAV files at runtime. That must be something that we're already using because I think we're using WAV files for everything already. Wow, wow, great job, Godot maintainers. Have you done much work with the Godot multiplayer? Tough to find resources on it. I have some notes, but I haven't done a lot of extensive work on it. So I'll share the notes with you, but I don't think they're going to be very helpful. Hey, Smack. I did a little bit of learning for this on stream, and I just determined that like it's just not worth doing for me yet. I downloaded some game, and I don't remember what it is. Maybe it's even mentioned in here somewhere. But I downloaded some game and we tried it out, and it was like laggy and kind of bad. And it made me think, man, if even some demo that somebody made is laggy and bad, then I don't want to make my own game and figure this stuff out. Plus, the last like major game I made was multiplayer, and I just feel like it adds enough complexity where it slows down development speed. I mean, so when I join stream, bugs are great. All right, well, thanks nonetheless, DJ. Either way, it means you're supporting the stream. All right, so we should probably look into updating. I'll write a note about this, but man, yeah, look into updating to the GA version of 4.4. All right, so why would the container be absorbing clicks? This has a script, but it's just for propagating events. And it says don't propagate right click events, but do propagate left click events. So I'm not really sure how this could be breaking. We should, if I haven't already, we should allow you to bail out of those text UIs faster. Fishing NPC was basically broken since the beginning of the fishing pond command. Yeah, but I wonder what's going on here. Like, what is special about that NPC? Is it where they're getting added? Because it's thinking that we're triggering the container. And the fisher is here. And what's different about this and the shops? Are we adding this to the wrong node? I highly doubt it. We added to the buildings node, just like how we added the shops there. Can you check the enchanter while it's fading in? I don't know. Well, there's no other character that fades in. It's just the fisher. So maybe that's what's causing this? I mean, we could try turning that off. Just say if should fade in and false. How do you host your nodes? As in framework, search functionality, etc. Oh yeah, nice. Starlight for publishing, Vercel for hosting, yeah. No, it's still going wrong here. What happens? Does it happen with the enchanter? The enchanter just works. I wonder if it has to do with the position of the fisher. Like if we put the enchanter down there, maybe the same problem would happen. Oh, or maybe it's the smoke particles? No, because it's taking a very long time. Like the smoke would be gone. We need to move off of this thing and then back onto them. Or maybe it's zooming in. I don't know. I want to figure out like what's the secret sauce here to allowing this to work. Like if I pan away and pan back and click, no. If I zoom in and click, no. If I click the left side of it, it works. Probably got tired of fishing all day long. Probably. So I can always click the left side. I can't always click the right side of it. If I just keep clicking this, will it eventually work? No. Oh wait, it does. What? So that would imply that something is still changing about the scene. But what? Are particles covering it? It's possible that particles are covering it. No, wait, hang on. No, it could be, yeah. Let's try turning off the particles then. Where is the fishing sign? Create particles. Yeah, let's just turn this off. Has to do with a clickable area covering the fisher in the fishing pond scene. Clickable area covering the fisher. It doesn't cover the fisher though. And we're not clicking the clickable area. We're clicking the town container. We could turn off that clickable area and then wait. Oh wait. Oh. Sorry. Clickable areas for the pond itself. But it's still not getting that as the node that we're clicking, which is what's weird about this. But yeah, let's turn that off. Let's see. Huh. Why would it say that it's clicking the town container when it's really clicking this? Am I missing something there? If I turn this on and I click this and then go look at what we clicked, town container. Oh, is this okay? I think I understand what's going on now. This This isn't a GUI element. This is only clicked controls. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right. My bad. I did not realize that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dark. Can you change it to polygon and not include the fisher? Yeah, I think we can also just move the fisher higher up, and then it should just take priority. Maybe I put this here, it should just work. Yeah, apparently it's only controls. I don't think I ever knew that. So now what, does this work? Still no. Now it has to do with the input order though. So that's probably a current issue. So this handles on click via a clickable area. So they're both handling it via clickable area. So then how is precedence chosen? It's excuse me, it's not by order in the scene. Out of curiosity, if we make this z index like 9, is it by z index? I'm not sure how we want to fix this eventually anyway, but no, it's not by z index. What controls that then? Because this itself should be a clickable area, right? No, this is input event. Oh my God, that's why. Okay, so wait, let's see. This is clicked, which happens from what? Also input? They're both input event. Yeah, because they're both clickable areas. So what determines the order of input events then? Godot input handling. There's some large chart somewhere. Where is it? This. Yeah, so input event. When sending events to its child and descendant nodes, the viewport will do so as depicted in the following graphic in reverse depth first order, starting with the node at the bottom of the scene tree, ending at the root node. Okay, I guess this is confusing though because we actually have this nested inside of some of these things. So this clickable area is in the root, but this one is inside of the Fisher node. And what do? We don't go by deepest node. Area 2D will not get mouse event when the mouse is hovering it and the area becomes visible. Oh, so you're saying the sort of real, well, quote unquote real problem here is just build the fishing pond, move the mouse way out of it, and then move it back in, and you should be able to click this. Wait a second. At some point, though, this just starts working. No, it doesn't start working normally. This is so stupid. Yeah, we could do a dark set and cut out a polygon here. It's just, let's say we ever allowed the NPC to walk on its own and it happened to walk over here. It's like, we want this thing to take priority. So how do we get it to take priority? Does clickable area have picking on? Yes, it does. Requires at least one collision layer bit to be set. Oh, there's a priority right there. Okay, what if we set this to 2? Is higher more priority? Priority use, the higher it is, the lower the penetration into the object will be. What? Oh, I don't know. We'll just try the 2 different numbers, 2 and 0. One of them is going to make it work, I guess. Okay, well, it wasn't 2. So now let's try 0. No, neither of those worked. Black hair, black shirt, black specs, black pop filter. Even his cables went full stealth mode. Yeah, it does look kind of monochrome. What a confusing description. I know. I know. I don't know. It didn't even seem to do anything. They also apply to the mouse. Yeah, that's a good question. Priority. Collision priority mouse. Does anyone comment on collision priority? Nothing relevant to us. Okay, the part I'm still not totally sure I understood though is this, because I don't even know if this is coming into play here. But if it were coming into play, the deepest nodes are hit after the shallower nodes here, but it goes from bottom to top. No, it goes bottom to top no matter what. So we're going to cover those nodes anyway. So yeah, by putting the fissure here, it should allow us to click that first. Also, we move them into the middle of the pond and then start this. Now they should just never be clickable, right? No matter where I click on them. Yeah. Although left clicking the pond doesn't do anything. Couldn't we just ignore that? I guess we don't have a way of turning that off. I could just turn it off though. At least I think so. Let's go try that out. Fishing pond, clickable area, testimony. Let's go make this thing and just delete this. All right, does that work? Because we were marking that it was a handled event and it wasn't actually handled because we don't care about this thing. In which case, this is a very easy fix. Yeah, okay, that's where we should do that. Well, that's fun. If we ever did want to allow you to left click the pond though, then I guess we'd be in the same situation we're in right now. Maybe I had to do with initialization order or something. So fishing cleanup, probably need to have the fisher tell you about the extractor. Actually, I think they already do. Yeah. Yeah, we can just turn this off for now. And we use it for this for what exactly? Just for debug adding a fish? Also for probably the tooltip. But yeah, I guess we don't need this. I guess we can just disable left click on this. Let's rename this. Disable left click or like remove left click handler. Public. Let's go modify the Godot UI notes. This thing about like what MISC? Yeah, the last click control. And keep in mind, it's a control, not just anything that can have a click handler. Like in area 2D. Actually, it doesn't really truly have a click handler, right? It's that we have an input event. Although controls work the same way, right? There is no click event. I guess there's GUI input. So it's something with GUI input because that's what it's tracking. Is that what's even listed here? Clicked control. There's nothing when you hover over this. Yeah, but I bet that's what's happening. I'll just say since it's presumably acting off of GUI input, we should use whatever it is that Godot or GDScript uses for that. So let's copy the actual name in GDScript. Yeah, it's GUI underscore input. All right. Well, like I said, we have a potential solution for this, but if we ever wanted to allow left clicking the pond, we'd run into a problem here. And I guess at that point we carve out the collision, but then like I said, we run into the problem if we're ever like, well, the fisher is on a boat and they're in the pond. It's like, okay, well then what do we do? I don't know. There's gotta be a way to handle that. Is there something else we could do with this? Like they're both just clickable areas and they both check to see should we absorb the click event. I guess maybe we check for a condition in here. We wouldn't be able to do that. So whoever gets it first, there would always be a condition that's met. So we just need to change the order of this. So how do you control the order of input event? Input event order. Oh man. So many issues here. And I searched for it the C# way. I should maybe have searched for it the GD script way. Input underscore event. Just convert them all to controls. I actually wonder if that's part of this. Like, what would it have meant if we moved these to controls? And maybe any sort of mouse clicking should be done with controls. Oh, it's called input event even in GD script. Do not arrive in the expected order. Use input event of collision shape. That means you use physics picking. This reverse tree order doesn't apply. You want to receive events in a sorted way, you need to use physics object picking sort. Alternatively, you can check mouse clicks in the viewport and make all necessary calculations yourself. This is the kind of stuff I hate when dealing with engines. Well, this I need to write down because I might have something about this somewhere. What is this thing called? Physics object picking sort. Picking sort. I don't have this written down. Picking sort. Do I need to type out the whole thing? OneNote required you to do that when it had underscores. But no, this doesn't have that. And I'll just delete it just to make sure, but I don't think we ever wrote anything about this. Okay, so what do they say? Inherit from this, physics picking is the only sensible way of detecting clicks. This is for nodes that inherit, or anything that inherits from node 2D. So yeah, if we did have control nodes on this, then we get proper input event order, but then we need to position these things correctly. But that shouldn't be a problem, right? Oh, it's not going to be affected by the same scale and everything. Yeah, that's why it's a problem. Okay. Well, that sucks. All right, we'll just modify the notes here then, I guess, so that this thing making elements clickable is going to be like the largest set of notes that we have. I mean, look at this. If we just show line numbers here, it goes from line 19 down to 155. Oh, man. All right, so let's write this down. Where did I write the bit about controls? Here it is. Canvas layer was consuming clicks. I mean, let's put this inside of backticks. I had a control under a canvas layer whose mouse filter I needed set to ignore. If you want to figure out which component is getting clicks, which control is getting clicks. Run your game from Godot, then click debugger misc to see the last click control, and keep in mind it's a control specifically. So yeah, I guess if you're working with 2D nodes, I guess I should say like node 2D, and not control, e.g. area 2D, then you may need to rely on physics picking. Not may need to, you need to rely on physics picking. This is not sorted by default, although that's possible via physics picking object sort. Physics picking object sort, which I think affects performance. Yeah. Which will affect, which has a heavy computational cost. So they say expensive computational cost. Okay, there's no, can't just rely on control nodes or node 2D because they won't be affected by the 2D transforms of their parents. This issue is sort of similar to everything mentioned here. Physics object picking sort. Yeah, thank you. I did type that wrong. Okay. Hey, Amy. Maybe add there that it doesn't apply to collision object. When you say next section, you mean next section of my notes or next section of the documentation? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, like I said, in our case, this doesn't really matter, but in the future, it might. Hey, who cares? Sorry, I missed your message. In the future, it might, and then in that case, yeah, we just need to turn on this sorting. Do you turn it on for a whole? Yeah, you turn it on for a whole viewport. Ugh. There's a handling input section. Gotcha. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's probably where this should go. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I guess we rely on physics picking. I guess I'll just write C. How do we link to input event handling? Yeah, C input event handling for more information. All right, let me just move this down to there. It's not sorted by default. Look, that's possible via this. Okay, yeah. So if you want to change the order, you pretty much only have a couple of options here. Thus, if your input events aren't happening in the right order, you essentially have two options. If it's just physics picking that's in the wrong order, enable this. Can't copy that easily. If it's across several different types of input events, then you need to use a different event entirely. For example, suppose you have an object that requires picking, but you can't wait until the physics picking step. In that case, you can promote it to an input event. Yeah. There's a fix. Give viewport set object picking true. Set object picking first only. What's that first only? A true input event signal will only be sent to one physics object in the mouse picking process. If you want to get the top object only, just also enable that. The problem with this, if you only had to pick the first one, is if the first one ever doesn't act on the input event at some point. So like, let's say you have object A is on top of object B, but there's a 50% chance, let's just say, that this doesn't act on the click. So now you have some like if should act on click, you basically call like mark handled, which is not what this is actually called. It's this. But if only the first object is getting this, then this could be false. and then nothing else is going to get this anyway because it's going to treat it like it's always handled. And in some cases, possibly that's fine. I call this on my root node 2D and picking works as expected. Do you have this scenario where like something might not act on a click? So for example, imagine you have like a lever in your world, but it's disabled. So like, and the way you'd probably fix that is you just turn off its collision for that time. Either way, I would assume that it's the sorting that's computationally expensive and not the going through all of these n objects that you're trying to actually pick. Anyway, we've got a solution for now, but yeah, this is more involved than I thought. Okay, so we don't need to change the clear color. We technically don't need to change the mouse filter on this, but I think it's worth doing anyway because it definitely should not be absorbing any mouse clicks. Fishing pond. I moved the fisher lower just to test this, but we don't need to change any of that. The town, what changed there? Oh, that's garbage. Let's just close all of this. Needed it for dragging cards from one pile to another that isn't necessarily top level. Yeah, but what I'm asking about is like, was there ever a card you could click that shouldn't have absorbed the event in your game? And could that ever be on top of another card? Yeah, I guess. And could that card ever be on another card? Because I was gonna say, in that case, you'd need to get more than just the first object. And if the answer to this is no, then I think it's fine. I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. That's all. And I think it is. But it is good to know about that stuff. Why is this not checked in? Oh, maybe I just got sidetracked as I was working on this. Like, this doesn't matter. I don't believe I had this scenario. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So this is good. We want to check this in. Town perks, we want to check in just one part of this, which is this. Yeah. Oh, I should probably write a comment here. I did write this as temporary, right? Yeah, I'll write that. Note the usage of this constant should be temporary. It should always indicate that we need custom artwork for an icon. Yeah, there. I like that. All right, any other changes we did for just the perk thing? We don't need this. We don't need this. We do need that. But yeah, okay, so we're going to say color item stacking perk brownish. There we go. And then this is going to be remove the click handler of the pond itself. Move click handler on pond. It was absorbing clicks that should have gone to the fisher. This is because the pond's area, the pond's collision shape is a superset. I don't even think that's totally true, but like almost nearly perfect superset of the fisher NPC. Thankfully, the pond doesn't need click events at all. We only use right click for debugging. If it ever does need them, then we can either make sure the collision shapes don't overlap, or we could enable this thing. Okay. So that's that. So let's go run the game again. I am so happy that this is faster to run thanks to cutting out the analysis on build. So now it's like 5 seconds instead of 12 or something. So I build the pond. We see smoke and everything. I click this. It works totally fine. Yeah. Rough. Okay, well, done with that. All right, finished. Item stacking perk should be modulated. Done. Google Chrome or Firefox? I'm using Chrome. I don't know if there's an obvious way to tell just by looking. Probably the address bars look a little different. Actually, let me just open Firefox and we'll see. Because there might be some branding on Firefox. Now that you'd have them side by side. Yeah, there's slightly different UIs. I guess if you had a bunch of tabs open. Well, ignoring the Firefox logo that shows up, because I would be on a page like, I don't know, let's say like Godot blog. Yeah, just these things look a little different. Okay, so next up, close editors. I should probably take a break first, right? I don't feel burned out or anything, but I shouldn't just keep going through this. Yeah, although I did see something down here. I wanted to fix this. Item stacking, cover handles. This is done. This can be put up here. And then we should probably do this too now that we have item quantities, but this is going to be, oh man, this is going to be a little bit weird. I'll need to max out on how many items you can hold in a stack so that fish scales work in a special way. I don't think it's worth doing right now. Okay, let's just leave it for this. I will take a quick break. Is it jump time? It's jump time. For those who never played, you can type join in Twitch chat, no exclamation mark, and then J and a number, and you can jump. Have fun. I'll be back in just a few minutes. See you soon. close the game. I don't know how long everyone was waiting for. Sorry about the slightly longer break than normal, if it was slightly longer than normal. All right, on ability level change, to have a clearer comment. Should only use when something else stores the effect of an ability. This might not be a clear or a quick task. The problem here is we have two ways of updating ability effects. We have this one, reapply ability effects, and we have on ability level changed. And it's not clear when each one should be used. And I can make it clearer, but I just wonder, should we have a standard way of doing things? Like, how many abilities even modify this thing? This stores max fish in the fishing pond. This. Okay, fine. I guess we're not going to find that. This stores it in the town, I'm assuming. Yes. Well, sort of. It calls into a function, and then whoever wants to listen to this listens to this and does what exactly? That's something's weird about this. Yeah, what listens for this? Instance map just updates a tooltip. This sets the start button state, and this again just updates the state of things. So then something must check if you can repeat boss battles. What does that? Here it is. Can repeat elite battles, which checks the level of the ability. Okay, let's just annotate the code directly. I will sync these changes because I've already made some good ones. The town will check for the ability level of this when needed via can repeat. All right, what else? Search for the rest of these. So fishing pond stores that. Town unlock auto battle. Is this the exact same thing? On unlocked, but isn't there like a can auto battle? Can repeat? What I call this? Is auto battle possible? Yes. So that'll just check the level of it as well. Okay. Sounds good. Town dot, what's it called? Is auto battle possible? Is a thing. And the final one is this. But we have a get num clones. Where's this done? Clones is only called from here. This should be private. Oh, and then we persist the entities. Okay, yeah. We persist entities directly in the save file. Hey, Banana. Hey, Sarah. How come it's Godot and not Stay-Do? How come it's not Play-Doh? Every project I've seen so far they've worked on has been multiplayer through and through. Any particular reason? This isn't multiplayer. I don't know if you thought it was, or if you're asking why were all the past projects multiplayer. But the past projects were Botland. That was like a traditional multiplayer game in that you'd play against other people. Then there were all the Royale style games. So Jump Royale, Chat Royale, Animal Royale. These were all for the stream. So these were never meant to be like mass appeal games or anything. And then there's Skeleseller, of course, but that's only single player. Why the change? Oh, I'm not going to probably stop making games like this. These are games that they're multiplayer for a very specific audience. And I think they're like fun to do every once in a while. Also, these all did not take very long. Jump Royale originally took 3 days. Chat Royale took a little longer because of the sort of infrastructure I needed to set up. But that was maybe a week or something. Animal Royale was about a week. Botland was 5 years. Anyway, my main reasons for preferring single player games, pros of single player games, there's less work, no infrastructure, no like UI for multiplayer. So imagine like chat or player banning or whatever, any of that sort of thing. There's less balancing. I guess it's just less work on kind of every front, right? No infrastructure, no UI. Yeah, less balancing needed. No consideration of making the game unfun for a player by making it more fun for someone else. This is slightly different from balancing. The balancing is like, imagine you have a game where you have a rogue, a mage, and a warrior. And the mage or the warrior, whatever, any of these is just like 4 times better than the other ones. It might be a cooperative game, but that still might feel bad for somebody else. So it's like, okay, well, now the choices all need to be kind of balanced. And then this was, if it's a competitive game and there's a character who's better than another one, then sort of one player's fun becomes another player's pain. And that's not good. And then, I don't know, just sort of the community expectations is like constant updates, like bringing the community to the player base. Imagine a game like Botland and there's just no one online at any time. They'd be like, well, now that's your job to do. Like, you should go find us a community. There should be someone to match against. And that's not easy. So yeah, all in all, I think single player games are just the way to go if you don't have some clear vision that requires multiplayer. Now, the way you make it better, I think, at least community expectations wise, is you push this onto the player. So, for example, people playing Stardew Valley, there is no in-game matchmaking or something. It's not like, hey, anyone want to start out on a year-long farm with me? You just play with your friends. So that is a great way of doing multiplayer games that I'd like to do at some point in the future. Something like Terraria or Stardew Valley, where it's like, yeah, you're playing with your friends. Sure, there might be sites where you can find people to play with, but it's not like the game does that. And it's not like you expect the game to do that. And I don't know if there are a lot of games that fit in this category. I feel like for them to fit in this category, they need to be slightly long gameplay sessions. And there needs to be some sort of element of trust. Like in Terraria, if I'm not mistaken, your character had an inventory. Characters have an inventory. Which meant you could take your character in another world and it would still have the same items. Which meant that if you cheated in some way, that you could go into someone else's server and give them like 1,000,000 powerful items, or you could just destroy their world or something. So there needed to be that element of trust to some extent. And that's another reason why I was like, well, just play with your friends. See some cult favorites like Lethal Company, etc. that benefit from low skill indie multiplayer, but almost everything else has to be AAA in size. I think Lethal Company is one of those games where it's like you bring your own community. At least that's my understanding. I only played once or twice, but I don't think there was a way of matching in the game with other people. Hey, Goose. I've seen another category of games, and I think this is mostly a mobile concept, but they're basically single player games with a guild and chat. And any multiplayer aspect is sort of faked. Like, yeah, you could send a gift to your friend or something, but it's like you're not playing with them. Or you're playing against someone else's town or something like that, but they're not really there. And some people actually sort of like or expect those sorts of things. And it really goes to show you that gamers are a diverse group of people. There's casual and hardcore, of course, but then there's people who want like the social features in their game, or they just want to turn them off. All right, I don't think it's worth probably addressing everything here. I think we should just write some comments. Hey, up fate. As soon as I say your name, the only thing that it reminds me of is up dog. What's up, fate? Am I playing Monster Hunter? No, I've played Monster Hunter for a total of maybe like an hour in my life, and I didn't get it. And I looked up online, why do people play Monster Hunter? And I understand people's descriptions when I look it up online, but I don't think it resonated with me very much. If I felt like devoting maybe 10 hours minimum to it, I'd probably end up liking it. But getting through that first 10 hours would probably be quite a slog. All right, anyway, we're going to write some comments on this, and we're going to make this clear. It's only called once when the player manually levels, changes the abilities level. This should only be overridden for abilities that store their effects elsewhere. E.g., the max fish perk for the fishing pond just updates fishing pond itself. I still need to write this. I'm just trying to think for a sec. Only called when the player manually changes the abilities level. They should only be overridden for abilities to store their effects elsewhere. And auto battling is looked. Maybe I should write it like this. For example, the max fish perk for the fishing pond just updates fishing pond itself. So fishing pond, then fishing pond will save/load the maximum. Similarly, for auto battling, the ability being unlocked signals for some UI to change, but then can you do this? Town not is auto battle possible? We'll track whether you can auto battle by checking the level of the ability. Okay, if you define this, do not also define this. All right, there. Hey, Luigi. What games do you play that you get lost in aside from your own? Also, don't be alarmed. I'm an okay person. I just lost a bet, so my name is weird now. Are you someone I used to see in chat? Yeah, you have 80 something messages. What was your old name? Games that I get lost in aside from my own. So I would say this. I get lost in the development of Skeleseller, but it's not like I'm playing the game constantly. Space Fit, but I'm just a lurker. Okay, gotcha. Anyway, games I remember getting lost in, at least like somewhat recently. The open world Zelda games. So Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Slay the Spire, somewhat recently. What else have I been playing? What else? It's not just what have I played. It's like what do I feel I got lost in, as in really enjoyed. Oh man, stupid Nonogram's Katana. Spent way too long on that game. Just curious on the genre, but that answers it. Yeah. Well, these are pretty disparate, I would say, in terms of genre. There are probably some other ones I'm not thinking of. I played Stardew again recently, but I think I've exhausted all of the fun of that game at this point. Yeah, do you enjoy strategy card games like Pokemon, Magic, Hearthstone, etc.? I played Hearthstone for about a year, and I watch it almost every day since then. So I enjoy watching it. I stopped at some point because I realized I wasn't having fun anymore, and then I like scorched the earth. Like I deleted every card that I have. Basically, I crafted like a bunch of golden Millhouse Mana Storms so that I could just delete all my dust as well. So that way I wasn't tempted to go back to the game, and I've never played since. So yeah, I like watching the games. And I like Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is a single player card game though. Yeah. You played Outer Wilds? No, I haven't. I've heard good things though. And hey, Stockton. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently playing. I always feel a little embarrassed about this, but I'm playing hardcore WoW. I just I've never played hardcore RPGs really, and WoW is not set up for this. It's just it's so punishing and it's so scary and you have so much to lose. And yeah, I want to get this character to level 60 and then I want to just like delete it and not play it again. Hey, Walfus, welcome in. I don't think I've seen you in the stream yet. I know I raided you a while ago. Hope you're doing well. Baldur's Gate 3. I played some Baldur's Gate 3. I'm a little torn on Baldur's Gate 3. It's automated D&D. And I played with some friends online. And I was having more fun with the hangout part than the playing the game part. As in, we could have been playing like Monopoly, and I probably still would have had the same amount of fun. I'm just not super into this for some reason, and I was never tempted to play it single player. I was like, I have no interest in running 4 different characters at once. And it sounds kind of counterintuitive given what I've liked in my video gaming history and what I do for a living. Like, you'd think I'd be very detail oriented and I'd be into that stuff, but I do not want to do any work when I play a game. I am so anti-work when it comes to games. If you put a factory game in front of me, I'm gonna like uninstall it immediately. I just don't have the patience for that stuff. I'm writing a factory for my job. I don't want to do that for fun. Okay, so yeah, if you define this, don't define the other one. And then up here, same thing. If you define this, don't define on ability level change. Okay, this, yeah, this function is called a superset of the times that I was hoping it would type it out for me. And now it's trying to. Yeah, there we go. Anything else I want to include here? Should only be used when something that stores the affected ability. When it doesn't, call that. When that's defined, that isn't needed. When it's defined, something needs to save or load the data since the ability won't be consulted. That's not necessarily true. Yeah, it's not necessarily true. Yeah, okay. I think these comments are clearer now. And I think that's all we're going to change for this. I feel that way about my job. I don't want to code when I get home. Yeah, and I think what's different is some people, and myself included, I think there's something to be said about monotonous games. And I think of Minecraft as being in this genre. It's definitely a game, but how much of your gameplay is holding left click down and just like walking into a wall, literally walking into a wall. You're destroying the wall, of course, but like that's a lot of Minecraft, or at least unmodded Minecraft. And yet a lot of people find that soothing. That's probably how it is for factory games for some people, but it's like the opposite of how my brain wants to work. And by the way, this is part of the reason Skeleseller is turning out the way that it is. Like, I didn't want there to be mega decisions that you're making. I wanted to be a game you just turn on and you shut your brain off and have fun. And in general, I've watched a bunch of people play it, and that's pretty much what happens. Like, you can read stats, you can make decisions about this stuff, but you could also just ignore it all and just be like, click, 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 click. Okay, there's my build. And yeah, it'll be fine. You'll eventually still beat the game. One time I played Baldur's Gate was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was never interested in it back then. It always looked like I wanted an action RPG back then. And action RPGs were super fun for me for a while. And then I realized I want to play with my friends when I'm playing an action RPG. And my friends didn't want to like play the same game as me for a long amount of time. Excuse me. Hey, Hef. Games where you can disconnect your brain are amazing. Yeah. And then there are some times where it's like I've loved the Smash series. I I played so much Melee. I played a ton of Ultimate. But the problem is there's a very big difference between online competition versus offline competition. If you are on the couch next to the person you're playing against, then you can lose and still feel like you're bonding with that person. When you're online, they're just nameless, faceless people. And I don't feel good at the end of those matches. Even if I win sometimes, I don't feel good. But like with offline stuff, it's like, well, you'll trash talk your friends and you'll whatever, hang out, you'll get food together. I miss that. Playing Smash since N64, good stuff. One of their best things. Yeah, N64 didn't even have an online version, of course. I think Brawl was the first one to add one, maybe, or maybe the one after Brawl. I don't remember. But um, yeah, I feel like couch competition or couch co-op was always a big component of the Smash series. Didn't mention any puzzle games. Thought that'd be something you'd enjoy. I think I used to like some puzzle games. Also, Nonogram's Katana. If you Nonograms themselves, some people might know them as Picross, is a puzzle game. Although it's a puzzle game you can shut your brain off for. It's just the counting you can't shut your brain off for. Yeah, hey, War Eagle. Yeah. Okay, so I have commented that. I don't want to keep these comments there, so we're just going to check this in. Clarify comments in player ability.cs. All right, let's go revert these things and move on. Should have update. You're already on a what? Did it? Oh, whoops. Update, you're already on a quest to indicate you can hover over the items on the board. Okay, sure, but this is all going to change anyway. You're already on a quest. Collect the items shown on the sign next to the deposit box. Hover over the sign to see where to find the items. All right, now what if we did that, but we never actually found the item? Yeah, it says found in question mark. Maybe we should write next to the question marks like beat new locations to find where. I think it's fine. You didn't release? No, I don't think so. What we're working toward now is what I'll just call checkpoint number 5. And that'll probably, I'm aiming for like 4 to 6 weeks from now for this release. It's going to include fishing, farming, rare drops, like customizable adventurers in terms of stats. All right, maybe I should say adventurer stats. And what else? Maybe some other things like item stacking and yes, maybe some other stuff. Hey, Matt. Recently did Couch Street Fighter Collection Night. Played a variety of fighting games up until SFV. It was fun. You have to be the one organizing the events anymore if you want stuff like that. People won't ever do it themselves. Well, so my experience playing Smash was it was just a thing. Like if you didn't coordinate it, someone would have coordinated it. But typically it was like just get together at someone's place every week or every few days. So it was almost a given. And yeah, that's what I miss. And I could probably set that up over here. I do know some people who play Smash, but it's like you have to drive to their place. Everyone's got different schedules now. I mean, a lot of this stuff just changes as you get older, right? It's like people have kids and and then they're not going to want to play Smash all the time, or they do want to play, but they can't. Yeah. Really like this game personally. Feels more intimate than Botland to me, but I feel more connected to it. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. PR comment for this change is pretty good, I thought. Do we have this already? I think I remember reading about this, but yeah, I think that's good. Did that only just make it in? No, we might already have that, I think. All right, so we just did this. Let's go try it out, I guess. I mean, it's fast enough. I don't know if this is weird, but obviously you can just read the text right there. I like reading it in the game to see what the player might think as they read it. You're already on a quest. Collect the items shown on the sign next to the deposit box. Hover over the sign to see where to find the items. I'd like to make it so you could hover over the quantity labels as well, but I don't think that's super important. Maybe I should say hover over the items in the sign. Hover over the items in the sign to see where to find the items. Yeah, to see where to find them. Yeah, there. That's good. Okay, cool. So change quest dialogue slightly for clarity. All right, done with that. Put smoke over the path when building the fishing pond. Okie dokie. Fishing pond sign. So smoke particles, we're creating them here. We need to create them where the path is. This is not going to be easy. But here's how we can make it easy. We can just make a smoke node. So node 2D, path smoke node. And then just position that up here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Found the same thing for dinner parties. We never get invited to them, but we invite a lot of people over for them. They always love to come. It seems like it's just, yeah, getting less normal to have friends over. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I think some people are just social glue, and I mean that in a good way. Like you have a group of 5 friends, and if you take out the glue friend, the friend group falls apart. And I think people form their expectations around that stuff. But the reason, and I don't want to go super into this, but I think that just in general, people have a problem asserting their boundaries. I think this is a cultural or societal problem. And I've seen this play out in like a million different ways. But the reason that it's applicable to this conversation is like, this is not a judgment that I'm casting on Matt or anything. If anyone's ever bothered by any of these dynamics, like, oh, hey, I'm the one hosting dinner parties all the time, I feel like they should just talk to their friends and be like, hey, could you host dinner parties? But in a lot of cases I've seen, people are just like, I can't do that. That's rude, or that's wrong, or there's something I'd feel bad if I had to say that. Or but a lot of times it's like, if you just kind of communicate what's wrong, it solves all your problems. So that's it. That's as far as I'm deviating into that topic. Also, please do watch out for segmenting messages. One of the adults loves destroying all the kids in Smash. As long as the kids are fine with it, I think it's okay. I think it'd be bad if it's like, hey, could you just let the kids win? Hey, Xanis, how's it going? Hey, Dudorks. Better get at holding those boundaries. Yeah, I think it's a good skill to have, because it doesn't mean be a jerk all the time, always get what you want. It's like, find a way to empathetically share your boundaries with other people in a way that works. Oh yeah, and I didn't mean to imply that, Matt, that you're bothered by it or anything. Being my own home is comfy, and I like cooking. It's just a pattern we noticed. Yeah, yeah, and there are different reasons for that too. I don't think it's always reasonable for everyone to host or something, and some people like driving, and some people don't like driving. We've had some friends who moved from being, I'm just gonna make up some numbers, like 15 minutes away to being 30 minutes away, and I'm like, well, now we're gonna see each other less, and they're like, no, that's fine, we'll always travel, and it's like we end up seeing each other less. Just distance does that. All right, so fishing pond needs the smoke node over here. Node 2D, what do I call it? Path smoke. All right, let's get that. Good, and then when we use the sign, this, how do I want to do this? We don't have the fishing pond at this point, and we need to build it from here. I guess we could just get it after this. Town.fishing pond dot create smoke on path. There we go. I got them here. Okay, now we'll make that. Am I a game dev? Yes, I am. Welcome in. I'm making a game called Skeleseller. All right, we're gonna do this. The only question I have here is, how big does the smoke need to be? But that's just a feel kind of thing. So we just put this in the smoke node. And what does get parent for here? The parent could just be this. I think cannot convert from node 2D to vector. All right, let's try that. So what this is gonna do is, when you build the fishing pond, it's already put, wait, does it? Yeah, it puts smoke over the pond itself, but it didn't put it over the path, and now it's gonna put it over the path. Might need 2 smaller smokes vertically to not cover a huge area. I want to see what it looks like. Yeah, this is good. I like that. Maybe make it a little bit smaller, but in general, I think that's fine. I just wanted to cover this. Which ID? It is VS Code, and the engine is Godot, and the language is C#. Yeah, this looks good. I like that. Okay. So check that in. We added this thing. That looks good. We added that. We added that. Yeah, looks good. Add smoke over the path to the fishing pond. I think it looked a little bit strange that you would just see a path appear out of nowhere. All right, done. And then refactor battle. That shouldn't have been here. I didn't mean to move that here. I meant to move this one here. When battle stats are showing and you do a battle with no fish in the pond, DPS shows as not a number. I actually don't mind. Maybe we say DPS is 0 in that case. I don't even mind it being not a number. People don't know what NaN means. How do you move multiple lines of text like that? In VS Code? Because I was going to say, in VS Code, it is this command. Copy command ID. In Google Docs, it is on Mac, it's Control Shift up or down. And on Windows, I don't remember what it is. Possibly also Control Shift up and down. But yeah, this is super helpful in any editor, like just being able to move bullet points around. OneNote did it amazingly because not only could you move it up and down, but by pressing the right and left arrows, you could also tab in or out, which you just had to use different shortcuts for doing in Google Docs. Oh, I got an ad raise. You started responding. In VS Code, it's the command ID that I typed above. In Google Docs, it's Control Shift arrows. On Mac OS at least. Dude Dorks, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Welcome back. Appreciate it. So here's the DPS label. We set the text here. We get the stats.dps. This could be not a number. I don't even know how you check for not a number in C#. Check for nan. Shortest way of checking if double is nan. There's double dot is nan. Yeah, okay. That's what I want. Double dot is nan. Is this a double? Yeah, it is. So 0, otherwise battle stats.dps. And then what happened to my curly brace? The colon needs to be. Darn it, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Where was that? Okay, so then this should be fine. We just need this in quotes. Or parentheses, I mean. Double does not contain a definition for is nan. What? Where's that come from? Oh, this is an extension method. No, wait, this isn't. It's just capitalized N. Okay, name can be simplified. Sure, that looks good. Okay, let's try that out. Am I using, yeah, I'm using Copilot, yeah. And what's that keyboard? It is a Korn. There is no brand. It was just an open source keyboard made by a person named, I think, Foostan. Yeah, okay, so now how do we test that? We go into battle at the fishing pond and then just flee it immediately. Oh, and then turn on stats. It said DPS is 6.8. Oh, because I did damage, of course. We need to kill the fish. All right, this is going to take a little bit of time because the fish have a ton of life. And even at 8x speed, it's taking a long time. All right, there we go. Now we flee, now we repeat, now we flee, and now it says 0. Yeah, perfect. Is this what you'd expect? That the duration is 0? Because time only progresses if there are fish in the battle. So this rogue is just bouncing up and down, but if I hit flee, it's going to say duration 0. If I actually add fish and we do that same thing. Oh God, right click isn't working. What's going on? All right, I messed that up. Do we need stats in the pond? Yeah, I think it's important to still say what the DPS and your duration is. I think that's good. We don't need the enemy health. That part isn't needed. Stop showing nan for DPS. This is only relevant for fishing battles where there were no fish for the duration of the fight. It's actually technically not true, but it's close enough to true that I'm not going to modify it. Yeah, let me know, Gab, how you feel about the keyboard after watching that. All right, what was the thing I just mentioned? Something about, darn it. Oh yeah, right clicking. Yeah, clickable area is broken because we get rid of this even if this is just supposed to be the left click handler. So I'm going to say private bool. Actually, let's just make it a public. Public bool handle left click. So we need a private variable behind this so that Git can return that. and then setting this. Oh no, this could just be set. Yeah, this could be totally like this. Yeah. And handle left click will be true by default. We don't ever remove this. We just do this. If handle left click, and that should do it. Except for that's also gonna cause an error wherever we said. I think I'd remember the name of the function. Remove left click handler. Yeah, this should just be handle left click equals false. There, and that's the correct way of doing this. Oh, hey, Poila. Hey, Leftus. Tasty lemon cream Danish. Did you make it yourself? Man, what is the best Danish? Is it cherry? It's probably cherry. Too lazy for that? You're not too lazy for that. You've done a bunch of elaborate cooking. All right, there we go. And then can we click this? Yeah, cool. All right, all that seems to be working. Although it did something kind of weird with the highlight there, didn't it? No, it's just the tooltip it did something weird with. Which is that it flickered, and I'm okay with that. When's the last time you did type racer? Probably for the Keanu video. I don't know. There should be a shortcut racer. That might exist. But the problem with any sort of typing or shortcuts is that they're all in context of what you're doing. So if you're typing your thoughts, it's going to be faster than typing a quote that someone else said. So same thing with shortcuts. It's like when I have a code here and I'm like, I need this curly brace to move, I just move it. But if you gave this to me as a shortcut typing test, I'd be like, I don't know. Like I don't have the same context in my head. That's Danish is the one in my hand. It's the one on my tongue. All right, this is looking good. So fix clickable area, disabling of left click. I had been turning off the entire event handler, meaning that right clicking was also disabled. Didn't I do two things in this? No, I didn't. Did I already check the other thing? Man, I'm losing my mind. I cannot remember. Yeah, there. How many years has it been and how much experience do you have on the keyboard or with programming? Oh, wait, you weren't the one asking about the keyboard, so probably about coding. I've got a little command about that there. Adam's coding journey. So how many years you'd have to figure out the age puzzle? Recently bought a 36 key split keyboard inspired by a video. I've also studied your key mapping. It was very helpful. Typing developing still feels painful. Yeah, that will get better. And I'm glad you like it so far, but hopefully I don't know, it's just like fun to use this keyboard. At the bottom of all of it is that. So it might be better for your hands. It might be less finger travel or something, but it's like it's just fun using this and it's different. I like it for those reasons as well. But then I also like that there's less hand movement. And now this feels like the most natural way for me to type. So now when I type on a QWERTY keyboard, I'm like, I sometimes kind of forget where the letters are or what key map I'm in. I guess there are two changes. It's the keyboard and then I also use Colmac. The Colmac part, take it or leave it. I don't really care too much about that. But yeah, the keyboard I love. Feel it helps my wrist pain already. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And it should ideally because you have so much less movement. Rotate between so many devices. I feel like having a unique keyboard would be more of a hassle than anything. Any issue swapping computers? The swapping computers isn't too bad. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the question, but like I use this on both Windows and Mac at one point, and I just had a button on the keyboard that would swap between Windows and Mac. But as far as swapping between like laptop versus like a gaming keyboard versus this thing, it's not too bad, except that I also switch between Colmac and QWERTY, which, like I said, I don't really recommend doing that. And I could just make all the keyboards use Colmac, I guess. But that trips me up more than the keyboard trips me up. So if you're just going to use QWERTY everywhere, I don't think you'll have a problem. But yeah, I just frequently will type in the wrong keyboard layout altogether and get annoyed. I also changed my layout from QWERTY to something better. Home row keys are the most used and more balanced between hands. Yeah, if you write in multiple languages, it's pretty much impossible for me to know what layout might even be good. Because yeah, this is one of the things that's kind of nice about English. I feel like you have fewer letters than you use in French, Spanish, German. I mean, pretty much every. Actually, is it every language? I don't know. What keyboard layout uses the fewest? Because like Thai apparently uses, I don't know, 50 keys or 70 keys or something. I don't know about that stuff. Huh. Am I using Vim? No, I don't use the Vim key bindings. So I've never seen the lower half. I'm curious to know if you dress as formally down the waist as you do above it. I'm just wearing jeans. So yeah, no, I'm more formal on top than on bottom. Okay, so this is done. Okay, now we got to figure out what task we want to tackle, and here are the most important ones. I think I'm leaning toward the perk stuff. Yeah, yeah, swim trunks on bottom, a tuxedo on top. Yeah, flip-flops. Rare items could be kind of interesting, although we don't have the adventure progression stuff. Stabilize new UX research. Yeah, so it's between these two things. I'm going to take a poll, but I don't truly care what chat thinks. I just want to know what chat thinks. All right, so question. Which would you rather see Adam work on first? Farming or perks for the slime and enchanter? Oh, all right, we're just going to write perks. Okay, so to clarify what these things are, we added in fishing. This was like a whole system, and there's a way of eventually upgrading your adventurers. Okay, great. So farming would be like the same sort of thing over here. We'd add in a whole new system. The perks are just, we'd add a board somewhere for the slime, and we'd add the perks for it. And we'd add a board for the enchanter den and add the perks for it. So you'd be able to upgrade these just like how you can upgrade this. It is not as simple as just adding the board. That's the easiest part. The hard part is like making each individual perk. So that's what the tasks are. And now you can vote. Tuxedo and Speedo. I call it the Tux Speedo combo. I know, remember, your votes don't really matter. But I might actually, if like farming overwhelmingly won or perks overwhelmingly won, I would maybe shift toward it. Stop listening to slimes like it's my vote. Well, you haven't heard that there might be a farming slime. I don't know. In fact, that's probably what we'd have to do first. Let's figure out if we want a farming slime. Like an orange slime with a straw hat. All right, there's like 20 something seconds left. So continue casting your votes. You got my attention. Well, so I was talking to, so Redbeard streamed the game. He's a Hearthstone streamer mostly. And he streamed the game. And I was talking to him about like, okay, what do you think about these ideas for the game? And I told him about farming. And he's like, man, you know, it'd be really cool. It's having a farming slime or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, it could be a slime with a straw hat. But I'm not sure if I want to do that. Okay, so farming one. Let's try to do farming then. Fine. I'll always vote for the non-winning option. So then it would really have been like 9 and 3. Yeah, we'll do farming. Bump this up the list. And let's go do it. All right, so figure out if we want a farming slime. So here's what the system is so that we're all on the same page. You will have a signpost somewhere. Instead of saying build tavern, it's going to say build farm. And when you get your farm, it's going to come with a 2x2 plot of land. So imagine something like this. And these are just empty spaces where when you click them, you'll plant a seed. And the seed costs money. So plant seeds for gold. The seed is randomly chosen. So you might get a seed for a watermelon, let's say. And maybe that's a rare one. And it'll eventually give you like 100 food worth of supplies, I guess. Or maybe you get like a berry seed. And that gives you, 5 food. So there's a little bit of randomness involved there. And then there's going to be some perks to modify that randomness, I guess. But that's planting. And then to fertilize the crops so that they grow, you're going to get a device sort of like this one. So this is a thing that takes in potions. So as I drop potions onto here, oh, my pond is already full. Let me just increase the maximum. Yeah, so as I drop potions onto here, it is pumping fish eggs into the pond. So if I add workers, they'll just go do that for me. Yeah, And then you'll see this pond fill up. So it's got 3 fish right now. It's going to eventually have 4 fish in here. Just costs a lot of money. I'm using the cheapest potions. So yeah, you'll do that to get fertilizer, and it'll fertilize your crops, and they'll grow, and then you'll harvest them and get food. Hey, Lemmy. Millionaire or absolute programmer in every lang? What does absolute programmer mean? Do you mean like the best programmer? I mean, I feel like one begets the other one. You know what I mean? Like if you become the best programmer in the world, you could pretty easily make $1,000,000. I guess you need some business sense, but yeah. Do you have to pick apples for the seeds now? No, although actually that's a pretty good point. Maybe farming perks should include the the fruit trees on your land. I should write that down. Do we have that written here already? No, we don't. But I like the general idea. So perhaps add some perks for the trees, the fruit trees in town, even though it's not really part of your farm. Maybe just add them here for now and shift them around later. Oh my God, I forgot an important thing for the PR that Kevin merged. We needed to update the game version, but I don't think we pushed a new version, so I think we're fine. Yeah. Technically, I broke save files when I did that, though. Okay, so farming slime. Like I said, it's going to be build farm, plant seeds for money, fertilize using potions, and then harvest by clicking, and then use the harvested crops to upgrade adventurer health. So that's the general system. Question is, should we have a farm slime? And if so, what do they do? The other slime is for dragging items and getting money. So this would be for dragging items and getting something. Maybe you're giving them the food and they're giving you the thing that increases your health. I don't really like that idea because I feel like the food could just increase your health. Like it's not like you're getting, whatever, metal ingots or something, and it's like, well, I don't understand how this would increase your health. So you feed it to a slime, and the slime it spits out some healthy cube. I don't know. Yeah, it does sound like there's no need for it. And the other thing we could do is we could just make them an NPC. So for example, we have the enchanter over here. Their only purpose is to tell you how to use this system. So you click them and they explain it. And we're going to eventually have an NPC for everything. So like the fishing pond already has one. You click them, it tells you how to use this. We could just have that NPC be a slime, but I don't really think that makes sense because I think if you see a slime, it should be drag items into it and it does something. I think we're not going to go for this. Very enchanting. All right, so I think that a slime would specifically be for dragging items to convert them to something else. If anything, that's how the fertilizer works. That's always going to be red underlined because it's a made-up word. Yeah. Yeah, that could be the case. Although I guess you'd need a switch next to the slime. Extracting water from slime to water the plant. But you have water. It wouldn't really make any sense, right? Like you could just take a bucket and go to the pond. Yeah, that could kind of make sense. You drag, but then we need to change it for the fish eggs as well. Do you have like a fishing slime and you have a farming slime? And one spits out fertilizer. So there's like a blue slime here and an orange slime over there. I don't know. Why do they have to work the same? The slimes, you mean? I just feel like there are certain sort of indicators in the world, right? Like if you see a button that looks like this, it indicates that it's disabled. I think if you see a slime in this game, it means you can drag items onto it. That's why I'd want them to work the same. Isn't the point of these that they break up routine? Design of the farm affecting the pond. Are you talking about what Dark had said? Because the farm doesn't affect the pond. What I was saying earlier is this device that you see, this takes potions and gives you fish. There's going to be another device over here for your farm that takes potions and gives you fertilizer. How do we slime hands this game? So, all right. This certainly could be a slime, but there's one little hang up here, which is this lever. So if it's a device, then the lever makes sense that it turns the device on or off. If it's a slime, you don't need a lever to turn a slime on or off. So it's more like it's indicating to your workers, I guess, that they should bring items into the slime. Kind of like the extractor graphic now. It looks silly and it works. Yeah, I think it works. But I think I want something with a light on it and something that looks a little bit more mechanical, I guess. I don't know. I have to think about that. But all right, I guess it doesn't really matter. We could always turn this into a slime and it's going to be a pretty minimal change because either way you're bringing something over to here and the graphic doesn't really change a whole lot. So yeah, I think we just don't do this. All right, let's look through the tasks and make sure they all make sense. So allow buying the farm, show the sign after defeating the second boss, make sure show all signs works, show the farm on the town map. We don't have to do that. Oh, on the town map, yes we do. Orange Ray, welcome back. Thanks for the resub. Like coding for many years, what's the core concept or thing you should know in order to become a true programmer? I think you'd have to narrow that down because I think this depends on what level of programming you're at. If you're a beginner, I think all you should focus on are just what are the fundamentals. So like, how do you define variables? How do you do if statements? How do you loop? How do you write functions? How do you like that sort of thing? If you're intermediate, then I think it's like, how do you write maintainable code? And how do you work with other people? Like these are things you probably need to know. And if you're advanced, I think it's more like how do you tie in business concepts with coding or make a product or I don't know. Like these are the kind I'm not even trying to be super prescriptive about this stuff. Just what are the things you might need to consider as you're learning how to code? So if you are curious about any of these, I could answer it. But if you were just like, what advice do you have? I'd have to be talking for like an hour. Or give slime food to give you fertilizer. When you have fertilizer, food grows faster. If you use fertilizer, you get a percent to get better food. So we spent a long time designing this stuff, and I think I like how the current system is set up. Planting seeds is instantaneous. Fertilizing is something that requires the potions, and then harvesting is pretty quick. And maybe when we try this, it feels like it could be improved, but I think we need to get to the point where we're able to try it. So show the farm on the town map. It should start as a 2x2 plot of land with enough space to grow up to say 7x7, probably including an NPC. Farm should track how much food you have, how much you can hold. Why does it do that stuff? How many plots of land there are? Don't we need to figure out how the fertilizer thing works? Total value of potions brought to it. That way cheapo potions count. Make sure it's navigable. Give it an in-world toggle switch. Converted fertilizer. So do you hold extra fertilizer somewhere? You store fertilizer somewhere. Because the point of the pond is you hold the fish in it until you finally battle them. So with the farm, is there like a vat of fertilizer? I think that would make sense. I'm not sure. As a beginner, how do you get used to programming logic? Just repeatedly write more code. Sometimes when I can't get my exercises done for hours, I feel like I'm lacking IQ. It's so frustrating. I think this is where you need to have like, what do I say here? I don't know if you ever heard this, like work smarter, not harder. I think it might be something like this going on. So any individual concept should be hopefully easily understandable. So if I'm like, okay, here's a variable, you say something like int x equals 5. We have a type, we have the declaration of this thing, we have the initialization of this thing. You probably need to learn about types. But then other than that, it's like you probably already know how variables work from learning algebra. So you're building on that concept. Kind of the same thing with any sort of conditional statement. So you have like if condition, and then there's a like a consequent here and an alternate down here. It's easy enough to sort of understand this. I think once you start combining the concepts, it becomes a bit harder, and that's where I think debugging comes into play, and also just whatever resource you're using, your teacher, your tutorial. Thanks, Vibo. So yeah, I think if you're struggling with basics, it's like find out why you're struggling so that you can actually address the underlying reason. And it's going to be different for different people. I remember back when I was in college, I was studying computer science, and I worked as I forgot what they called it, as like supplemental instructor. So I had to come up with some lessons for students and try to teach them. And I remember trying to teach for loops. This was very difficult. Like, I don't think for loops are hard as a concept, but not everyone understood them, and I couldn't understand why they didn't understand them. Because not everyone wanted to be a student in that class. So like some people just didn't want to learn the topic, and then they're not going to share like, look, I'm not really trying right now. So it's sort of hard to unwind what's difficult about this for them. But yeah, I think debugging is one of their very early on skills you should learn, at least just setting breakpoints, inspecting values, and that's like stepping through the code. Yeah. Thanks, AI. Working on this project, and the guy who calls the shots absolutely doesn't want to do something. What advice can you give me on convincing him to add Pet Snake to the game? I've had that happen before, Kevin. I think it's an unwinnable battle. So I would probably just try to make this person happy as much as possible. Just write good code, keep your head down. Maybe send them some money, that sort of thing. People used to say logic is the backbone of programming. I don't know why I used to say it is the backbone of programming. I mean, it's just computerized logic. So if yes, then you can build up a stock to be used later. If no, then you're only ever... How are you automating this, I guess? I suppose it doesn't really matter. Then you can only have to bring potions to the fertilizer every so often. This would probably mean you always have the switch on. So I'm leaning toward letting you store this, but I don't know what's the most fun. Ah, darn it. I think we need to think about this a tiny bit more. Try to use the debugger more. To be fair, my teacher did recommend the same. Also, thanks. I used to write pseudocode as a helper and forgot about it. Yeah, the debugger is so important, and it's really not that bad to learn. Like, if I were to be on a call with you, I could probably teach you in 10 minutes. Now, I'm not suggesting I'm going to be on a call with everyone who wants to learn debugging, but I really do think it's as quick as that in most cases. And that's assuming you have, tooling set up. But you've probably seen me do it a bunch of times. It's like I click in the gutter over here to set a breakpoint. And then when I run the code, in fact, let me do this right now. When I run the code, now whenever it hits this line of code, I'll be able to look at it. So I know where this is hit. It's by, I go into this and I just hover over any ability. So I hover over this and there it is. We've now broken it. What's nice about this is now you can see everything that was passed in, the values of whatever it is. And the whole point of debugging is to get some information about the code or to address assumptions that you have. So in this case, it's like, maybe I'm like, man, why isn't it pulling the ability? And I see, oh, abilities, there are none. Like, oh, that's why. Like, I address my assumptions by looking at this. And maybe there are some and I want to look through them. I mean, right now there aren't, so I can't really do that. But yeah. Okay. I want to look at the design document again for this. I'm not trying to make this expand as a task. I just want to make sure we're not making something that feels unfun. And something's not quite right about this, and I can't put my finger on it. I think it's how quickly you sort of burn through the tasks you do in farming, and that maybe it doesn't feel different enough. Like, I like the idea of the farm. I think planting costing money is fine. I think you'd probably want to automate this. In fact, I think if we learned anything from the feedback of this game, it's that people want to automate every part of the game. And right now, planting, there is no way for you to automate that. Although, did I write anything about an upgrade for that? No. I'm so torn. To the point that they can automate the fun out of it. Well, I think it's that it's fun to interact manually with something for a bit and then focus on a new system at some point and feel like, oh, I'm only managing the old system now infrequently. Yeah, I think we need to spend a tiny bit more time on this. I'm a bit bummed because we already spent a bunch of time on this. Farming, take two. Okay, so some thoughts about the farming system as it was designed. There's no accommodation for automating the planting of seeds. I'll just say the planting, automating planting itself. And people have generally wanted to automate each component of the game. And then the cycle seems fast. Plant a seed instantaneously using money, then fertilize it using potions, then harvest it by clicking. There, you're done. Yeah, I need some farmers here. I need to know how they do slime-based farming in real life. I thought we had mentioned something about a planting machine. We might have. Plant. Like we talked about so many different ideas when it came to this. Maybe this is manual, maybe placement matters. Oh my God, yeah, we talked about the farm being like a grow your own battle system. I forgot about that. Oh man. Plant button, plant all, plants grow automatically, workers harvest. Here, the mulcher gives you seeds. Oh yeah, I wanted your farm to have variety. That's why I didn't just make it so that you automatically got the best seed. Okay, I think we need to think about this a little bit more. How was my experience at Google? I suggest checking out this command because I talk a lot about it there. Oh, slime-based programming is the only way to go. In most programming, you have object-oriented programming. In slime-based programming, you add a G to the front of it. I don't know what the G stands for. The drop chances are all the same. Yeah, I still want there to be variety. I don't know. I got to think about this more. All right, so what goals do I have? I should just brainstorm. I think we're gonna come up with some ideas that are good here. So yeah. So do I want this to take more time? Do I want workers to be involved more? Is fertilizing sensible? Maybe the machine that takes potions produces seeds. But then how would you water or fertilize them? And is that too similar to potions containing fish eggs? Is every potion 1% fish egg and 1% seeds? I'm afraid we'll just keep adding new stuff. The way I look at this is, and I'm being serious here, this is like feedback driven development. Not exactly, right? We did have some vision at the beginning, but basically we release some set of stuff and then we get feedback. We process and act on it and then repeat. And the biggest feedback we got was, hey, the game is fun. I want there to be more of it. And there are two ways to interpret the more. There is just like stretch what we have, and there's add new systems. And I think we need to do a little bit of both. I don't think that just selling and having like the enchanter and the slime, I don't think that would be fun for 7 or 8 hours. So I think we do need some more systems, but then I do think we can just add in more battles and more locations and stuff. So yeah, eventually if the feedback is like, cool, this is just a fun game, then I mean, we'll open up a lot of bandwidth to tackle other things. All right, so the idea of getting seeds this way, I think is okay. But I guess it would automatically plant them too. So yeah, what if there's a seed maker machine and it takes potions and automatically plants seeds on your farm? I gotta say though, if fishing requires battling, then farming should probably require some engagement on the overworld itself, i.e. in the town. So that there's some action that needs to be performed here, and maybe it's just like bringing the seeds to the farm, and then maybe your workers can just water them. Maybe they have a watering can animation, and they just need to stay in that animation for like 5 seconds, and then they're done watering. Honestly, that's not bad. Tack on more stuff to hide the broken bits. Not our strategy. Just because the original plan was to spend a year in the game. Yeah, I think this is one of the difficulties of making a game and having it evolve as we're developing it. Like we probably could have bypassed some of this stuff. The problem is, and I still think this is really hard for games, some things sound like they're fun on paper and you get them in your hands and you're just like, this did not work out how I planned. And the only real way to shortcut that is to prototype the thing on paper. And ideally it's faster than developing the thing anyway and then changing directions. And it's just so hard to judge. But part of this too was like figuring out a launch process and everything so that we could get people to test things. So I'm pretty confident that once we have fishing in the game, farming, whatever else, item stacking, that getting people to give feedback on those things should be pretty quick. Then who knows what it is to act on that feedback. Excuse me. Oh yeah, so it's some kind of engagement on the overworld itself. So yeah, what if seed planting is automatic? They could just water crops. Yeah, a worker renders a watering can and spends, I don't know, 5 seconds watering crops, watering a crop. I'd like there to be a way to speed this up. Maybe you can do something. Maybe just clicking will water it. The issue with having a worker do something that only needs to be done every so often is that they might prioritize it in between doing something else that you'd like them to do. So now they're like wasting time watering stuff. What are we doing with the stone golem? It's supposed to be an adventurer, I think, but can we make it an NPC in some system? I want it to be an adventurer. I want it to be the mitigation tank. So the warrior is the like the counterattack tank, and I guess the paladin is like a healing tank. And I wanted there to be a mitigation tank, and for there to be a like a no, there's a fourth one I wanted. Oh, a dodge tank. That's right. I wanted a ninja to be like a dodge tank. It turns out we don't really need tanking that much in the game, but we can change that. Alternatively, we could just change the warrior to be something else, and then the golem becomes like the warrior was. I don't know. Or we just don't have the ninja. Maybe you can manually water. This all comes back to having an action that you can perform manually that your workers could also do. Bringing potions to a machine is one such task, but it's not unique to farming. Don't like. Well, let's think about this. All we really had is planting, fertilizing, harvesting, and the perks, saving and loading. All that stuff's going to be the same. Buying the farm is going to be the same. So yeah, it's just figuring out how does planting, fertilizing, and harvesting work. We just had 3 actions: plant, fertilize, or water, harvest. Then where are you spending money or time, and how do your workers cover for you? I guess we could just have switches for practically everything in the world, although I'm not sure I like that. Like the only place we have one that can control priorities right now is this. You can turn this on or off. I think having something like that for the farm would be good too, but I think I'd only want one of them. Like have workers just tend to the farm. And I guess the main tension would be that you need to involve your characters in town a little bit more. I've seen so many people play the game though, and so few of them are ever like, my adventure should not be battling. They end up getting so many items, and rather than just saying, okay, 3 of these characters are going to stay in town and do extra stuff, they just keep fighting. Would it make sense for quests? I think it would make sense for quests eventually. Yeah. The slime could produce a fertilizing agent. Yeah. I think the main question right now is how is farming fun? I think we designed a system that works, and I think people would engage with it because it gives you rewards, but I don't know if it would be fun. I mean, to that extent, I don't know if the fishing system is fun, but at least I like the ideas. You always need low level materials, so you always have some portion doing something. Yeah, although that I think we might end up addressing via like a mimic system. I like the idea of a mimic. It just spits out items every so often. And under the hood, the way it would work is it tracks how much gold you get from each battle. Well, not gold, I guess, but how much gold the items you get from each battle are worth. And then every time you hit like 50 gold, it spits out an item. And the item could be something you need. So maybe it's a customer desire, maybe it's a quest item, maybe it's just a valuable item. But that way you wouldn't have to go back for quest items as much, maybe. Like you need, 12 cloaks and you're like, oh, I don't want to change my battling around. So you just say, oh, mimic, go create cloaks for me or something. I'm not gonna make it so you don't have to backtrack, just so you have to backtrack less. And so you have other levers you can pull in the game that will make it easier for you. But that's the tentative plan for that. Are you spending money or time, or how do your workers cover for you? I Did I talk about getting like random seeds? Put items in, you get seeds out, you plant the seeds, or you just buy them. I think getting them from a machine makes the most sense. Like you can't do anything. Yeah, I think it makes the most sense. Having seeds come from a seed maker that takes potions just makes the most sense to start farming with some initial investment, and creating seeds out of nowhere seems a bit strange. Yeah, okay. So then the watering part, it could just be that your workers always have a watering can and they can just walk over to the crop and water it. But I feel like that would have to take time. Something would have to take time or some adventure involvement, more so than just bringing potions to a seed maker. Automatically plants them. Okay, what if we kind of bypass that a little bit? So you plant the seeds automatically. I guess you need a limit for how many seeds you can hold. I guess that's your farm. Yeah, this is another reason why this makes sense. The reason why this makes sense is that then the farm plots themselves serve as the storage or the output of the machine that we have. Would it be confusing if your first seed had to be collected from the fruit tree? It depends on how you're finding seeds. If you always found them through fruit trees, then I think it could be fine. But I think if you're going to get other ones from potions, then it's like we'd probably need to make it clear through a perk or something like that. You're a skeleton strictly because you need a potion, so it really solidifies why potions are so important. It just shows that potions have questionable ingredients in this world. Have you implemented more visible feedback that your items are despawning? I think you considered it at some point. There's two cues that an item will despawn. There's the flashing, which happens after a little bit, and then it flashes faster when it's about to expire. And then there's a sound effect that plays when the item expires, but I have sounds turned off right now. With that said, a lot of the reason why people are losing items right now is because the game just isn't super balanced around that yet, and you don't have all of the tools you'll eventually have. One such tool is that the slime will eventually have its own perks. So imagine that this had slime perks, and one of them could say like, when at maximum hunger, automatically eat an item on the ground. So like that on its own would help, because now 1 out of every so many items will get eaten automatically. So you'll have less to do there. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe there are other things in the future too. The other thing that Kevin just added recently is this, which is item stacking. So if we turn this on and then get items, you can now see there are stacks of 2 over here. So like we have 2 helmets and 2 potions, and we can upgrade this even further and get to 3. And now you can carry 3 items at once. So instead of your warehouse running out of space as quickly, it's like, well, now we're holding 3 times as many items in the same amount of space. So yeah, these are really good changes, and you can still just move it 1 at a time. Your workers move them, well, sorry, 1 at a time. You move them like 3 at a time. So they have to do fewer trips. Customers who are buying the items have to do fewer purchases to get you the same amount of money. Oh, that was interesting. Didn't realize that happened. They stock items like that. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, so like these are little ways that we're changing the game that I think have a pretty big impact. I say little in that, I mean, this was a lot of work, but in terms of time, it maybe took about a week. Yeah. Yeah, I think checkpoint 5 is going to be good. So okay, I'm pretty much sold on this idea that you have a seed maker and the seeds are just being put on your farm automatically. So then what happens after that? And it could just be that the seed will grow on its own, but watering it or fertilizing it will make it grow faster. Watering or fertilizing will make it grow faster. How do you do this? So watering could just be clicking on a crop and it shows a watering can pouring some water for a bit. There is something okay. Right now in the game, the only real super manual action you perform a lot is if you're ever going to drag items onto another thing. So let's say I build the armor shop, I can drag the armors over to here and it'll put them in the shop. That seems like a bug. Uh-oh. So what happened here? Object reference not set. Oh, the town isn't set here. The item display didn't have the town set. Didn't we see this happen before? Why wouldn't the item display have a town set? What if the seed maker is a tree spirit or druid or nature type who makes their home in your town? So a slime-like mechanic, but for seeds. I think we I think it'd probably be a machine so that it makes sense that it has a lever. And if it weren't a machine, I think it'd be a slime. Maybe we can just have so that if you click it, it animates and speeds up the crops. Yeah, we should talk about sprinklers. Change the value of the active timer, right? Well, what are you talking about? I'm I'm not sure what you're talking about there. And where did this thing go? This gets set as soon as you create this. How could this be null? Item display and destinations. One of these is made that it doesn't have a town set. For watering? So, okay, I think it's important that whenever we have these conversations, there are implementation details and then there are design details. And design details are things like there should be a watering system for crops. And the implementation would be something like we should make 3 classes, have a timer, etc. The implementation details almost never matter for the design discussion. So I think we should try to keep them separate because like how we implement it is something that we know can be done because like games have made a farming system. And if you are talking about a design detail, I think the design is like there is it's a time-based watering system. But I need to come back to that in a second. I want to figure this out for now. So there's an item display somewhere that doesn't have. This is inside of a shop. Oh, and I just made this shop. Oh, maybe that's why this is happening. Where did this get called from? The state machine. Drop off item had it. So maybe the new shop doesn't have this set yet. Get item displays. It's I'll eventually type it correctly. There we go. And these things should have a town. 0.town underscore town, I think. Null and null. They're both null. Okay, so a shop is getting created and they're set to null. If I hit play here, is this just going to happen forever? It might just happen forever. Okay, so let's go find out what's happening inside this. Reload this again. Item displays, where would those be? Probably in creating the shop, yeah. Where do we pass in the town? Here. We only use it for the shopkeep. Okay, so I think that's the, no, we save this, we save it. So when we add this, we add item display. This should add one and initialize it with the town. It does right there. Town equals town. I wonder if that's not being done. All right, let's put a breakpoint. Let's find out. Create shop, blam. This is already an issue and we're only now hitting it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I wonder if there was another issue before that. I've now closed it, so I'm not positive. So that's initializing the potion shop. So what happened is we built this. We clicked grant most things. I got some items. I built this, which is going to call init immediately, but I'm going to ignore that for a second and we're going to try dragging an armor over here. That worked. I wonder if it's only with item stacks that matters then. So I have an item stack now and I drag this over here. Did not matter. Okay, well, really what I had done is I got this first. I've never seen this break here. Unless it's broken in. It is broken in. Yeah, of course. It usually steals the focus. That's why I was confused. All right. Really what we did is we got item stacking first. Then I had these items. Then I... Ignore that. Then I tried dragging this over here. Oh, it broke. Okay, yeah. So if we have an item that's not full, we can accept the incoming one. I see. So it only happens when this. Yep. Yep. So this must be getting constructed without this. All right, let's take a look at that. Stop. Start. I will write this down. And bug unlock item stacking. Grant items that you have 2. Stack of 2. Unlock the armor shop. Drag 2 items into the... Drag a stack of 2 into the armor shop. And then wait for a worker to try dropping off an item there. The town is null on the item display. Okay, so even just calling shop.init, this should have this problem, right? We do this. We call add next item display. That's the part I want to take a look at. This calls add item display. This creates this with the town. The town should be set, right? It is for this. That part's all working. Then we build this shop and it's not set somehow. It is null. Wow. How'd that happen? Oh. I think I see. This is in ready. And when we create the shop, where do we create the shop? There's a create somewhere. Yeah, we add the shop here, but then we call init afterward. Okay, that's a problem. Because the town isn't set until init. So this shouldn't be done here. It should be done in init. Yeah. And I think that'll fix this. Okay, let's try that out. Okay, so same set of steps. Do this, that, and that. And now we just create a bunch of workers and nothing should break, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that should fix it. Yeah, so I think what happens is when we add an item display, we now use the town, but I don't think we did that before. I think that's something new. Where is shop.cs? Okay, shop.cs. Implement item stacking. I wanted to just look at the diff there. Here. Okay, close all those. Go to shop.cs. Yeah, it's now created with a town. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, anyway, fine. It's fixed. Fix bug with null town. A shop creates item displays from ready, but the shop's town variable isn't set until init. This caused drop off item .cs to encounter a problem. Although really anything could have encountered that problem at some point. Yeah, that should fix that. No, it's fine. These are the sorts of things that happen, and at least we figured it out. All right, so back to farming. So sprinklers. I think this is one of those things where it's like what goals are we trying to accomplish? So planting, the way we figure this out right now is it takes potions and which is it's some transportation time, automated or manual, and it's some opportunity cost. Is it still considered an opportunity cost, by the way? If I, how do I say this? Let's say I have a, I don't know, a CD player, and it's worth $5, but I give it to a friend to make them happy. Is that considered an opportunity cost or some other kind of cost? Like I could have just sold this and made $5. I'm gonna call that opportunity cost, but I think opportunity is usually about like time here or some other activity you could have done. Yeah, so then what is watering? What should this even be? More worker time or manual action? Just just time? Time in general, not necessarily with someone involved. I kind of like that idea. The crops just grow and it just takes time. But I think there'd need to be a way to speed this up. And then the speeding it up is like there needs to be some cost to that. And our ideas are a manual action, an automated action, money, or some other resource. I think it's still opportunity cost. Yeah. Some other resource. Or you just can't speed it up. But yeah, I like the idea of this whole potion thing happening. You get the crops and you're watching them like slowly grow. But as I mentioned, I think people would want to speed that up. Maybe the only way to speed it up is with perks. Like crops grow 20% faster. But what's the fun of this system exactly? I guess that you need to keep an eye on when you can harvest this stuff. Crop starts growing. There's eventually a fruit there that needs to be harvested. And I guess this is something you need to let your workers do. But what does the farming mechanic come down to in the end? With what's designed here, if it just takes time, it's just you turn on this device that you get, and then that's it. You're done. Your farm just runs itself. With fishing, that's not possible because you have to battle. But with farming, that would be possible. I feel like that'd be bad. I don't think I want farming to turn into just turn on the seed maker lever. And leave it and you'll get all of the rewards. I feel like there has to be some kind of decision or management aspect to it. A decision. Okay, well, what if we just pursue it from the decision route? Then we could say something like the seeds you plant matter, the positioning of the crops matter. There's some trade-off that you're making. The seeds you plant. So then it wouldn't just be there's a most valuable plant. And maybe like something you could do here is turn this into kind of a mini game with a time aspect to it. And I mentioned this a while ago that there was that game Chocobo World that came with Final Fantasy VIII, and it gave you a tic-tac-toe board, and it just randomly filled one spot. And when you got 3 in a row, you leveled up. So the minimum amount of rolls you needed was 3, because you need 3 in a row. And the maximum amount is what, 5? No, 6. Yeah, I think it's 6. Because you might have this filled, this, and this. Oh no, you could also have this one filled. So 7. Yeah, 7. So it's pretty much just a way of saying this is going to take a random amount between 3 and 7, but it was a cool little visual representation of it. And if you literally just had a thing that said, yeah, it's random between 3 and 7, it'd be boring. But this is a fun little way to add suspense, and it like, randomly placed a dot. And you're like, oh, cool, I leveled up. So I'm kind of thinking of something like that, where farming is you plant the seeds the way we talked about, and then it takes time for them to grow. But then there's like some other layer here, and I don't know what the other layer is. I keep talking about this, but I keep picturing it like a slot machine. Like you're growing random crops, and when you get like 3 cherries in a row, you get, I don't know, more food than you normally get. It doesn't make sense for a farm, but something like that, I wonder. Hey, Zebu, moles. Like moles are eating your crops, I guess. I I need there to be some decision you make. Maybe it's a when to harvest kind of decision. The longer you wait, the more money you get from the crops. Or maybe like a fully grown crop can propagate. And that's your way of automatically planting seeds, but that would save you like a tiny amount of money. You'd probably find some way to game the system and just leave like 3 crops always planted. Also, is it clear that that's what would happen? Match 3 crops colors. Match 3 crop colors. Yeah, but like it's kind of like the sort of slot machine way, right? Either you can control the colors and it's very easy to do, or you don't control the colors and you're, I guess it's just kind of luck, and then you're choosing. Maybe maybe it's a yeah, maybe there's some requirement that you have X of the same crop, and you have to delete crops that don't match that plan. I don't think I like this though, because I think any of this, like this, even if this worked, even if this was super fun, probably at some point you just want this to be automated. The way we could frame this is you get a bonus when you harvest many crops at once, or like you always harvest all of the same crop type at once. I need to put more thought into this. And another way of thinking about this could be like, what makes farming fun in manually controlled games? Because if you think about it, something like Minecraft has farming, right? And how did it work in I don't even remember. I think you till the land. And do you plant in the game? I think you plant seeds. And then you water the crops. You wait or use, I don't know, bone meal or something, right? And then you harvest somehow. I don't remember how a lot of that worked. And then the food forms a crafting item or a consumable. When you harvest everything at the same time. So it's based on how the farm looks at that instant. So that's what I was thinking, but like, is that drastically changing anything? Like you have 10 different crops. Every once in a while, you're gonna have some that, oh wow, I harvested a bunch at a time. I'm just not sure how that changes things. Some crops get bonuses, but they will attract critters that you need to kill. Yeah, so okay, let's say there was just an upside. Let's say it was like some crops give bonuses to adjacent ones. Is it changing your decisions? Because let's say you said like, oh, cherries, like the crop on the right gets value plus 10, and pumpkin could be something like all adjacent crops get value plus 10, or I don't know, I'm just making things up, right? Squash is something like all crops grow faster in the same row. Wouldn't you just plant a bunch of stuff knowing you're getting bonuses anyway, and then not worry about what those bonuses are? I think this is what this all comes down to. This is what I've been saying repeatedly for any automation, which is that the difference between the ceiling versus the floor, it would need to be huge for you to care to optimize. Yeah. Well, that would work, but that's sort of counter to the philosophy of the game. The farmer was replaced. Oh, I saw this game. Do I have this muted? Mute site. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I saw this game. This is not a manually controlled game, though. This is a programming, like an automation game. What I was thinking about more is like, what's fun about like Stardew Valley? Like, how does Stardew Valley farming work? And Stardew Valley is pretty much the same way as what Minecraft was, right? At least from what I wrote down. Like, Stardew Valley is you till the land, you plant seeds, you water them every day, you harvest. Yeah. So I guess what's interesting about this stuff, I guess like interest in Stardew Valley was your tools could be upgraded so that any of these processes could be easier. You could automate portions of this, like fertilizer could retain water, sprinklers could water things. There was some luck element. So there was like, it might be a rainy day. You had to protect your crops from, I think, crows. What else was there though? Oh yeah, the seed choice mattered. They take different lengths of time. Some keep producing. Some last multiple seasons. So it's like there were other variables in the game that made it so that this equation could be fun for some players. You just plant and make sure they can water and have bots that tend the field and harvest, but it's a completely idle game. Yeah, it just makes me think, okay, this route was probably not super worthwhile to pursue only because if we had more variables in this farming system, which I guess we could just artificially introduce, we could say something like, okay, there are 5 crop types. Well, also there's random fertilizer. Yeah. In fact, yeah, it could just be that this thing is fun to watch. Like maybe we have random fertilizers, like plus value of the crop, plus time, or like minus time to grow, plus speed of growing, or like chance to propagate, or chance to multiply the output or something. Random animal walks by and helps fertilize. Yeah, something like that. But this would all fall into the category of like, it's just fun to watch and not necessarily that you're making a decision. And maybe it's okay to have something like that. I don't think we have, well, we kind of have something like that in the game. We have item selling. Item selling is really just like your characters are just going to go do it. They'll move items here. You get to watch them do that. You get to watch customers come by. So the farm could be that system where you're like, you're only interacting with it to make sure seeds are grown. I feel like there needs to be something else. I feel like it's not fun enough as it's designed. Because, like I said, as designed right now, it's just get the farm, turn on this button, and you're done. Now just ignore it. Never look at the farm again. Yeah, I think I want there to be something that just makes you look at it again. The problem with it, if you manually watered it, is that this would turn into like cookie clicker. You'd feel like, oh, I just gotta click, 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 and I'll get these crops super fast. And I don't think that's fun. So I want there to be a limit to how often you could do this, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you need to water, or like maybe a crop typically takes 1 minute to grow, and you can water it every 15 seconds, no, maybe like every 10 seconds to speed it up by 10 seconds. So you could make it take only 30 seconds without needing a million clicks. I don't think that's fun though. Are zombies supposed to not take self damage if there are no fish? Yeah, because we stopped the time for the battle. I wanted it so that all of your buffs remain there, and and yeah, same thing. Zombies don't just die. I don't know if that's what players would expect because it also pauses the duration of the battle. There was some other reason why I wanted to do that. I don't remember what it was. Reason why we had to pause battles. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I guess that the witch doctor will just keep summoning other zombies too. I don't know. Are you scared a lot of the gameplay rules I don't like? Oh, wait. Have you considered storing total profit per store so you can see your town stats? Yeah, eventually I think we should do something like that. Maybe it's a seed making where you can play. If you were thinking about some kind of slots game, maybe that's how you get seeds. Needs fleshing out. Okay, so what's the reason why you would even want different seeds? Like right now, each crop produces a different amount of like health points, I guess, which we're just calling food. But it's always more is better. So for now, all you want is the biggest crop every time. And there are little ways you can kind of make this decision be interesting, like you have an input and it runs through some small equation and gives you your output. As in, I say, okay, I've got 10 seeds, or I don't know, 10. Uh, what am I trying to say here? Like, if you spend 10 gold, you can get like 1 to 2 seed packets. But if you spend 20 gold, you can get 2 to 5 seed packets. So you have a chance of getting a little bit more because you spend more money. This is really just saying it's a bulk discount. But even if we made this, even if the equation or the system or whatever this is going through is like a slot machine, is it fun to do? Is it something you engage with after a while? You got to get one every 2 minutes or play the mini game and get better or more. Let me see. What was that other thing I wrote over here? Then the farm plots themselves serve as storage for the output of the machine that we have. With the design of the fertilizer, we would need a tank to store the extra fertilizer. And then we need to make it clear that this is happening. Make your farmer watch an ad. It's not even you. It's an ad in the game for like bone regrowth juice or something like that. Want something that makes you look at your farm occasionally. Yeah. So like I said, it's decision or a management aspect. So either it's a decision or I guess so the management aspect would be you fertilize or harvest. You water, fertilize, or harvest, yeah. Introduce thieves and animals that go after the produce, then people have to fight them off. I think the question with any of this sort of thing though is what does it mean to fight them off? So fighting them off either means like you click them or you start a battle. I don't think it probably means anything else. And if it's just clicking, I think I'd rather one of the like very core game design principles that always stuck with me is how World of Warcraft did rested experience. This system was originally you get less experience when you play too much. And they changed it into you get more experience when you don't play a lot. This is so critical in a lot of game design. This is a punishment mechanic, whereas this is a reward mechanic. And if essentially, like, let's say there are animals and you fight them off and you need to click them, it's essentially like punishing you for not clicking them. Whereas if all we're going to make you do is click something, what we should do is have it be a reward when you do click that thing. So as an example here, there's like a shiny, I don't know, like a crop fairy or something like that, and you click them and they fertilize your crop. And now it's like, well, if you don't do this, okay, your crop's still going to grow. It's not going to delete it. But when you do click it, which was the action we were trying to get you to take, it's like, oh, awesome, I got a bonus there. It's like a treasure chest showing up in the middle of a forest, and yeah, you have to click it to get the treasure. It's like you're not penalized by not clicking it. You control which tiles in the farm get fertilizer, but you can only select so many. Optimal pattern changes over time. You need to pay attention to figure it out. Yeah, but given that people are going to want to automate this eventually, I guess we should probably consider how are other systems automated here? Like, people probably do just stop looking at their shops to make sure they're getting all the items they should be getting. So they probably will just stop looking at the farm at some point. And with the enchanter, it's like, well, you need to spend your mana, but even then people have asked for like, well, I want to automate that. I guess that's the key thing at the bottom of all of this stuff is people do want to automate this stuff. So whatever we do, it has to be that you can be slightly better or more efficient. Oh my God, efficient by doing this yourself. WMs. Vermin. I mean, I think that fits into what Neil was saying about you could have some animals that go after your crops. Automate would be I upgraded enough such that I don't care about the pattern. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes, it's not necessarily an all or nothing thing. Like maybe, okay, maybe that's kind of it. Like you only have so much water. Yes, this is similar to saying you only have so much water and you need to choose which crops to water. Maybe water is always percentage based. So it makes sense to water newer crops, but eventually you stop caring thanks to automation. Is that good though? What if we went a totally different direction with this? I said there was some other trade-off or there was some other resource that you need for this. What if you did find something in battle? No, but it's pretty similar to the whole seed making thing. Oh, I'm still torn. The more you fish, the less you can farm. It's kind of already the case because in order to fish, you need to bring potions here and you'll also need to bring potions to your farm. And I like that there's that trade off. I feel like there are a lot of little trade offs that are there that all get sort of smoothed out by automation. So, for example, choosing where to bring your potions, you'll probably just leave both of these things on all the time. And we can make that be a slightly more interesting decision by actually, it doesn't really matter. Whatever decision we try to put into this, players are going to eventually say, I'd like to not have to make that decision. What I was going to say is, what if the first few potions you bring drastically fill up your pond, but then it's diminishing returns? So it's pretty much like the slime hunger meter. Like if I grant an item here and I hover over this, it says 40 gold, 42, 44. It's slowing down though as time moves on. So that's a 50, 52, 54, 56. It's going to get a little slower, a little slower. Then it finally caps out. But like at first, when you're feeding this thing, let me slow this down and just feed it everything. Okay, so yeah, at first this is jumping up pretty rapidly. So if we did something like that with the extractors, you'd be like, well, just don't put anything in when I'm getting really low returns on this. What if it was some amount of fuzziness in when you harvest? I already kind of wrote that here. Yeah. I mean, this could be interesting. The longer you wait, the more money you get. Like the crop is fully grown and then it just starts like upgrading. So now it gets like silver and shiny, then it gets gold and shiny. It would mean that you could keep food on your farm that you haven't harvested purposely because maybe you've hit whatever limit you're at. I'm not sure that's interesting, but yeah, the more money you get from it's not even money, the more food you get from the crops. Maybe the plants just keep growing but have diminishing returns. Supercharged plot that influences adjacent plots based on what crop is growing. So for example, if a strawberry is growing in it, every adjacent crop grows X% faster. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit. Where was that? I don't know. But I think my takeaway was that this decision might be something people kind of just ignore. I think this is at the foundation of every part of the game, right? Like there are skill points in the game, but people can just ignore this stuff and just be like, you know, I'm putting points like that, and I'm not going to read anything, and I'm going to just hope that things work out. Let them keep growing until they reach the sky, and you can go fight the giant. I think I do like the idea of them just being able to sort of keep growing. And yeah, you could harvest them later and they'd maybe earn you more food. We could also make it so that there's another thing you can do with the crops. Something else you can do with the crops. Like you harvest for food or you summon a slime to it to get money. That could be interesting. Or quests could start to take the food. Actually, if quests took, well, this is kind of intertwining systems too much maybe, but if they took food from the farm, then it would make you build the farm sooner and learn that it exists. Could be the same thing with fish scales. Okay. Let's write down at least the sort of conclusion so far. So like working picture of this so far. You have a seed maker machine that you give potions to, or you input potions and get seeds out. And then seeds grow over time on their own. You harvest them and get food. So far kind of lame. Also, I guess you'd harvest them manually, but eventually you want workers to go over and do that for you. Yeah. All right. I don't know. I got to think about this some more. I was hoping this would feel better by the time I got to implementing it, and it doesn't. Something feels off, and I don't know if it's worth coding this whole thing, which will probably take, I don't know, 3-4 days. I don't think it's worth coding the whole thing just to see if it's going to work. And I wonder if there is a way we could prototype this just to kind of figure it out. Is there like a quick way we could just kind of hack something in? I'll write that down. I left off still trying to get an idea for what will work. Maybe we should prototype just with graphics and not a lot of code. E.g., you press 1 to show a planted seed, then 2 to make it show as fully grown, and see if that sparks ideas. Maybe to sustain population size, you need to generate X food. I think the goal of farming is clear and I think it's good. It's that you will eventually use it to raise the health of your adventurers. So like you plant enough things and you can raise your rogue's health by 40 HP or something like that. So the reward, excuse me, is compelling. I think people will want to do that. It's just a question of how do you make the system fun to interact with. Excuse me, man. Yeah, and I think watching crops grow would be okay to some extent. Like you seeing a farm full of crops, I think it'd be fun. And I think the time-based mechanic is probably important. Like you plant a crop and then it takes a minute before it's done growing. So it's like a battle. You need to check back on it for progress. Yeah, I'll write that over here. I do like the idea of crops taking time to grow so that you have to check back on them after a while. It's like a battle in that sense. Maybe harvesting is something you can manually do, but then you automate. I just don't know how you'd automate this. Yeah, but we'll figure that out after lunch, I think. All right, well, it's about noon. I've been streaming for 3 hours and 38 minutes. I'll be back in about, I don't know, 45 minutes. And then I think we'll stream for another 2 to 3 hours. It's going to be game design at first, but then I do want to start coding. I'm not going to start coding if I'm not convinced by the game design, but I'm hoping it doesn't take 2 hours to finish coming up with something that's good. If it does, it does, and that's just the cost we have to pay for this. Because, like I said, I don't want to code a system that doesn't sound fun even on paper, and then I code it, and yep, sure enough, it's not fun. Like it should sound fun on paper. Then maybe we prototype it or something. What changes have I been making that I haven't pushed? Pretty minor stuff. Let's check this in anyway. All right, I'll be back after lunch. Thank you all for watching so far. I'll see you in about 45 minutes if you want to tune back in. If not, no worries. I'll see you next time around. Take care.